Welcome to Julie's Infinite Playlist. Today we have Dorsia. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Fine. Sure.
Would you like to introduce yourselves and what instruments you play?
Jeez.
I'm Kelly, and I play my mouth and
I knew she was going to have something.
a little bit of the keyboard.
You know what was great, just before I do my bit, at the show, the mom thing.
Did you love that?
And it's Mother's Day this week. I didn't call your mom. I know I'll be calling your mom.
Yeah.
That was
I was
fantastic.
like, yes.
I'm like, I don't know if anybody caught that, but
Oh, I
I
totally
did.
caught that.
It took me like a good 20 seconds.
You were probably also focused on other things.
I was so,
Yeah, uptight.
yeah, I was not
Me
feeling
too.
good.
So what
for
is
many
your
reasons.
name and what
Yes.
instruments do you play?
My name is not Switchblade. My name
That was
is,
funny.
Such a good name, though.
My name
He
is,
thought of it himself.
It's from a Jimmy Eat World DVD thing from a long time ago. It
Well,
doesn't
it
matter.
fits you.
It does fit you. Switchblade.
I look like a gangbanger. I shouldn't say that.
No.
Kids won't know that used to mean like an 80s gang member.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm Nick, and I play everything, all of the music. I program the music
Yeah.
and play a few things.
Yeah.
It's a broad topic, but a lot of the music is programmed because obviously it's very 80s
Yes.
heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it's programmed, and then there's like I play,
Electronic.
I play a little guitar, which is like a real instrument, I guess. And at any time that there is some instrument called, like, there's some piano parts, I think, in one of the songs that's played like live. So I did that. But
Synth.
Synth, yes. I'd like to get thank you for reminding me. I don't know how that wasn't the first thing out of my mouth. That's my love, is the synth stuff.
Yeah.
So if I can get my hands on anything synth related, I'll twiddle some knobs and that will be recorded into the musical realm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all the drums are programmed. All the bass for the original. Well, that's also synth, but it is programmed synth. It's not like played
Yeah.
live synth. The synth solos are played by me and some other things.
Where did
Just-
the name come from?
Oh, I feel like I was so eager to talk about this when we debuted into the world, and now, like, just hearing some people have like talked about it that I've overheard. Like, there's some kind of like air of like kind of mysteriousness to it, and I almost feel like I don't want to. So Kayla, right, my wife, for everybody, anyone who hears this that's not in the room right now, we're the only two people who know my wife.
I think there's more than two people
She-
that know your wife.
I don't know. I don't know about
makes
that.
sure. He
Yeah,
makes sure
I
of
do. Yeah, it's a joint
sorry.
effort.
It's fine.
She's just happy to be sequestered away at home. So she said, because she kind of was curious about, she knows where the name comes from, and she was curious to see like what other people had to say about it, as far as like, because her hunch was, it sounds familiar, right? But people won't remember where they heard it.
Yeah.
So she, and you'll be tickled by this, so she, like, her coworkers, she was like, do you guys know the name Dorsia? Something. She just did, like, she asked them if it meant anything to them. And people, I assume, who hadn't yet heard our music. And they were like, they thought for a minute, and they're like, isn't it a restaurant? And that was as far as they could get.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of perfect, Because she was exactly right. Like, it's like familiar, and they weren't sure.
Yeah.
Interesting that they thought it was a restaurant, though.
Right? Like, they're almost there. Like, if they thought, like, a little harder, they would
Yeah.
remember. I guess, I don't know, should we? We haven't talked about this yet, the two of us.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to tell this to Kelly.
I mean, you've listened to me give this interview several times. You should know this is the first question.
I mean, people would figure it out anyway.
Yeah, you're right. So, well, you can do the honors then.
Oh. Well, I mean, I thought of it before I even met Nick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember when or where I was or what I was doing, but I was essentially watching the movie American Psycho, and they were talking about Dorsia, nobody can get into the restaurant Dorsia, and I just was like, I just liked how elusive it was
the verb I
and
was just gonna
so
say, elusive.
tongue-in-cheek. It was like funny at the same time, and it was just a good word, and I just was like, I was just sitting there watching the movie, I was like, oh, that would be a good name for a band. And then that was like my own little secret I held. And then, Nick and I met and we were talking about making music. And I'm like, what do you think of this name? And he's like, I fucking love that. That's perfect.
I was like, we're using that name.
Yeah. So it worked out.
Nice.
Band names have always like been a big struggle for me.
From my understanding, they're a big struggle for everybody. So,
And this is going to be terrible to say, but like I think most band names suck. You just kind of like, you don't question them. Most of the bands that like you hear someone talk about or something, it's like everyone's already heard them, right? Someone's
Right.
telling you about them. So, like the first time I heard about Coldplay, for example,
yeah.
like I like to use them as an example because everybody knows that I love that band, so no one should think that like I'm speaking poorly of the band.
Right.
But if you are objective about it, what the hell kind of name is that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, I would actually love for you to be able to ask them about that name. I'd love to hear an explanation.
I would never interview Coldplay because
Why?
I don't like them enough to interview them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, same.
Well, don't say that on public record.
But
Fine with that. I also will never interview Taylor Swift, so... But Justin Timberlake...
Talk about a dumb band name. I don't know where they came up with Taylor Swift.
But, and also, of course, like, we were into the 80s thing, and, it just happened to work. I mean, it wasn't in my plan that I would have an 80s synth band or, 80s inspired.
Yeah.
So it just really kind of worked out like that. Although I did throw out the Pool Sharks,
Yeah, I remember that.
but Nick didn't seem into it.
There's
Well,
a-
because she opened with Dorsia.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
There was
later I was
nothing,
like thinking
yeah.
about it. I'm like, how about the Pool Sharks?
I was like, there's nothing else. There's only Dorsia.
I was happy.
No one take the name Pool Sharks because I need to find a band that would be good for, and that's a fantastic name.
This is off the record.
Off the record.
God, I'm sorry. What was his name?
Nate.
Nate. Nate from.
Later Days, who
Later
is actually
Days.
no longer together anymore.
Oh no! I was just gonna say big plug
I know.
for them. Oh, those douchebags.
It's heartbreaking. They're not douchebags, but it is heartbreaking.
Douchebags.
No.
I'm kidding. They were very nice.
They're incredibly nice.
Salt of the earth dudes. That's a real shame.
Yeah.
But it happens. God,
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Nate is actually now doing something kind of like this, but on video kind of thing, called Austin Uncharted. You
Nice.
should check that out.
When you said this, I wasn't sure at first. We were talking about
Podcast?
us.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Or-
I think they do some... I'm really terrible. I haven't watched any of the videos yet.
Oh no.
I love you guys. I'm sorry.
She's honest. Give her
But
that.
they do... I think they do a little bit of an interview, and then they have the bands perform, and it's in, like, a studio with, like...
Oh, that's really cool.
Nice equipment and
We should
stuff.
do that.
So, you should check them out.
What?
Nate is the one doing that?
Yeah. Nate and... I met the other guy. I'm really sorry. I don't remember your name. Really
Nate, if you're listening to
Bad
this,
with names.
give me a call, man.
Yes. You remember Nick. He was the one that called you out on...
Off the
you said
record.
the wrong... Well, it wasn't just
Oh,
that.
God,
The
yeah, that
wrong
was
name
bad.
for the Whitney Houston song.
Who did
yeah,
he think
you
it was?
would know that.
He thought it was like
Mariah
Gloria.
Carey, yeah.
As to with these
Mariah Carey. And then I think Brendan said something different too, and you and I were both like, "No, that's
It's like,
Whitney
it's
Houston."
Whitney Houston, man. And yes, I would know that, Kelly, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
She has
You
like
should
the
be.
best voice.
The best.
I want
just
to dance with somebody.
God, I love it. I lose my shit every time that song comes out.
I
at a
know.
wedding.
Oh my god! I went to '80s night at Barb's with a friend, and that song came on, and I went. I mean, I lose my shit at most of the songs they play at '80s night because I love '80s music. But that's one of those songs that I really lose my shit for.
I'm glad to hear you say that because I feel like I just now, at this moment of And it might just be people trying to not hurt my feelings, I guess, because now we finally have music out and are publicly, like, pro-80s
Yeah.
music. Like, it's just always seen it. I mean, like, and I granted, I hung out with a lot of, like, hipster folk, which surprises nobody, and they're great, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the conversations when they turned to the 80s music was just, like, me in a room full of a lot of haters of all things 80s music.
Hipsters don't like anything good. Just putting it out there.
But they also like the best stuff.
No. They've taken coffee and beer and made it annoyingly precise and ridiculous. There's
Well, the beer I will agree with, for sure.
no reason to...
The coffee...
To go that far into...
I mean, there's differences in quality of coffee.
As there is with beer. I'm just saying, like, why...
The problem
there's
is
just so
hating
much
on the mainstream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes mainstream is good for a
it's just
reason, and
not-
that's
yeah.
the same reason why I'm very
Justin Timberlake is amazing.
pro pop music, and
Obviously.
most people aren't. Like, nobody says, I love pop music. Like,
Yeah.
because it's...
Yeah, that was
you know,
another
it's-
weird thing. Like, trying to gear up for us, like, coming through the curtain and everything. And people are like, what kind of band?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and I just... I'm always worried about being long-winded because, as you both know, I'm very long-winded.
Right.
So just would be like pop.
I think
kind
maybe...
of.
So we were saying we're indie pop, but I think maybe we're kind of moody pop.
That's a good way to put it. I like that.
Yeah, you said that
What-
recently. And that
What
was,
would you say?
Moody pop / 80s inspired sounds.
the 80s inspired, I feel like...
Synth-pop, maybe?
The 80s
Yeah.
inspired always comes first, I think.
Yeah.
80s inspired blank pop.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
moody.
Yeah.
But I think moody is spot on.
Yeah.
That is like the perfect word for it.
Because
it's really moody music.
A lot of our songs aren't very upbeat,
Yeah.
so it's hard to call it pop when it's pretty...
Yeah.
How did each of you get into music?
Oh, that's fun. You go. I guarantee you all of her answers are more interesting than mine.
I doubt it. Mine are pretty basic.
We're both just like Eeyore. Oh, bother.
Get into music. I mean, I think it was just something... Like, I started taking piano lessons. My mom just got us all in piano lessons when I was young. At like 8, I started. And I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I found it to be very therapeutic. Even as a kid, I remember that. And then I just enrolled in band. I was singing. Well, actually, I should step back. So we had auditions at my school for like a soloist for like one of our concerts. And I just decided to do it. I guess I thought I could sing. Maybe my mom told me that. I don't know. Friends told me that. I was in like a little choir for like the Blue Water Bridge opening ceremony. So I don't know. I like every kind of little
Like opportunity.
I was always like, you know, accepted and everything. I'm like, okay, so I'm kind of good at this. And then, yeah, we had auditions for the solo. And so I had to sing in front of my, like, just 5th grade class. I don't know. Like, me and a couple other people. And they played the song. So the song was Auld Lang Syne. And they played, like, the recording. They're like, okay, this is a song. Learn the song. And I imagined in my head as a 5th grade, like a 9-year-old girl, I was like, okay, well, they like that. So I'm going to try and sound like that. And so I just pretty much tried to sound like that, and I got the solo, sang in front of the school. So that's kind of when I first started performing. But I never really... So then I was just in band, played clarinet through middle school, and then I was in band in high school, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't like my teacher because she used to rub her thighs all the time during class. Like, she would just sit there and, like, rub her thighs up and down, like, while... I'm like, this is a little uncomfortable. And,
That is...
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm kind of over this.
Just imagining
Yeah.
that is
I can't
strange.
imagine just watching a teacher
Yeah,
just
sit
constantly.
in front of the class,
And,
just,
well, I mean, that wasn't the only reason. I think I
just
was
touching
just...
herself.
Basically.
I don't know. I just got along with the choir kids better, and so I was in choir. And then, I don't know, from there...
There's usually a lot of drama in band, from what I've heard. bands are...
Really?
Yeah. It was in my high
Like
school.
high school concert band?
Because there's just like...
It was like the most laid back, awesome time for me.
Well, I mean, this is coming from a choir nerd, so I don't know, but like everybody was dating everybody. And there was a lot of like cheating and stuff happening and lots of drama from that.
Yeah.
There's
See,
also
that
like
wasn't-
400 people.
I might just
so-
not have
Wow.
known because
In band.
I didn't like date anybody ever in my life, so
Except your wife.
mail order.
Oh.
Not really.
Poor Kayla.
Just
I hope she doesn't hear this.
Lucked out there. Yeah. Was that
Sorry, go ahead.
Did that take us through high school for you? Is that where we're...
Well, and then also I had like gone to one school and I was in their band program and it was really fun. Like there was a good mix of every type of kid, like nerdy kids, cool kids, sporty kids. Like it was a lot more fun. And then I went back to my old school and everybody was just so nerdy and like I guess I didn't have my same like friends in there anymore too. So I was like, I'm over this.
It's a drag.
Yeah. So that was kind of like high school. Yeah, I told you it's not that interesting.
Well, you went pro after that, though.
Yeah, so then in college I auditioned for an a cappella group.
Nice.
It's famously rejected.
No. I got it.
No. You can hear her singing with that group actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, on Spotify. Ladies First.
Nice.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Is it like
What's up, Krista?
like Pitch Perfect?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was weird how much like Pitch Perfect it was.
Oh my
because,
goodness.
like even just like all the dating
Pitches
and
are back.
stupid puns.
Yeah.
Like every day when we'd have practice, we'd all have our dicks and daisies that we'd say, like, you'd just go around the room and you'd say a bad part about your day and then a good part about your day. And it was nice.
Okay.
But that wasn't in Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
It
it was
should've been.
exactly like that.
That
movie.
reminds me of like acting class. Actually,
Yeah.
if anyone's ever taken an acting class, it's a lot of like loosening up
Yeah,
like that.
that's true. Makes sense.
But yeah.
So yeah.
But I didn't really get into theater. Like, I was never into... Were you in theater, Nick?
Oh yeah, very much. So
See, I wasn't really into that.
yeah.
I don't know why. But, yeah, so then I did that. This is too long.
No, it's fine.
It can be, it won't be, I'm sure, but it could be conceivably
Yeah.
snipped. The old 2-inch tape.
But I never really had, like, voice lessons or anything. I think what I would try to do is just mimic who I heard. So when I was, like, in elementary school, I would listen to Jewel a lot. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I can sing exactly
I
like
feel like
Jewel.
I assumed you had some voice lessons at some point.
Not until I
actually
was in
surprised to hear
college. And I wanted to learn how to sing, like, operatic style. So I took, like, 6 opera lessons. And that was, like, my first voice lesson.
Some people are just born lucky.
I don't know.
Well,
I
you
mean,
said you were in choir, right?
I was in choir.
I mean, it's not one-on-one voice lessons, but I
No.
feel like I learned a lot in
Yeah,
choir.
there's a degree of
You learn basic
they
stuff
definitely
that
teach you
way.
how to like posture and
yeah.
breathing and the warming up and everything.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think what I had to learn on my own was how to belt
Be a
and
rock star.
project. Mm-hmm. You know, my mom would always be like, louder, make sure you're singing louder. And, that's hard to get,
Yeah.
basically get through
You're
that.
a very supportive mother. That's good. I'm just,
She's always pushing me to be my best self.
because some people don't have supportive
Yeah, that's true.
parents. My mother is also incredibly supportive. So
I wasn't sure if you were being sarcastic or not.
no, I was being serious.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nick's regular
Well, 'cause
voice sounds like a
obviously-
sarcastic voice.
Yeah.
I
It's
get it.
it's really confusing. But obviously, like, because she was paying a lot of attention,
Oh, yeah,
She
we were
cared
very
enough
close.
to be like, like to give you, a detailed
She was my voice coach.
suggestions.
Yeah.
There you go.
Trying to be your voice coach anyway.
Yeah.
Props, Kathy.
After college, did you still do singing stuff? Or?
So I've sung at, like, lots of friends' weddings.
That's right.
The wedding singer.
Which I feel like is how you know that like you should, at least in your peripheral view, like which obviously you did, but like to be thinking like I need to find a way to really get into this.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
If people are asking you to like sing at a wedding or something,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
That's for sure.
that's like because people take their weddings so seriously.
Yes, they
If
do.
they're not me, no, actually, I took mine more seriously than anybody I know. It's just funny because it was like such a casual event.
Yeah. How'd you get into music, Nick?
My mom, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, both my parents, but my mom first. Well, I really can't say. I'll have to ask her about it. I don't know if I just made this up in my head, but I always say it was my mother who got me the Mickey Mouse drum set when I was like
Aw.
2.
That's adorable.
Pretty much like it was the day that I came to America 'cause I'm adopted, and it was like 1.5 or 2 around there when I came home
Yeah.
for the first time, and like in my earliest memories, I had the Mickey Mouse drum set,
Yeah.
and then it really just was like for the first like 8 or 10 years would realize that I was listening to music in a like it sounds so like pretentious, but it really is true. I was listening to music in a way that it seemed like other people were not. So example, some song on the radio, most people understand the concept of like harmonies, right?
Yeah.
Or layered vocals at least.
Yeah.
So listening to a song on the radio, and I distinctly remember saying to my parents, like, do you hear that there's more than one person singing?
Yeah.
And they said no. And I was like, there's definitely more than one person singing.
Yeah.
So I was trying to ask them, like, to explain to me basically what harmonies are.
Yeah.
Which I know now. I was probably like 5 years old. And they were like, because really, if you don't have a musical background and you're casually listening to a song on the radio, the way that a lot of harmonies are done, very purposefully, is that it really blends in.
Yeah.
So they're just like,
Yeah, it took me a long time to figure out that, oh, that's more than one person
Right,
singing right
yeah.
there.
so
You can't have a voice go to 10 different notes
Right,
all at
yeah.
once.
And I think the more confusing thing too is I'm sure what was going on was it was, as most modern music is, overdubbed.
Yeah.
So it probably was the singer of the song, I can't remember who it was, had recorded their own, you
Yeah.
know, couple other harmony parts that
Yeah.
were layered into it. So anyways, that, because I remember it so vividly, I now realize must have been a really big, like, moment
Yeah.
for me. So I knew that I wanted to do both, like, chorus and band when I think it was in 4th grade we were able to start doing that.
Yeah.
And they had you do like some kind of aptitude test for the band thing to see like
We didn't have that.
if you, so rather than just have you like pick whatever instrument you wanted to learn, I think they were trying to gauge if you maybe could
Right.
handle doing like
Kind
what
of
you
had something
wanted.
like that.
Yeah, I can't really remember. Like it sounds odd, but it happened. You
That
know,
kind of makes
so I
sense,
don't-
though. I think that's a good way to do it.
I guess
I don't know.
it kind of seems like
Maybe they were
everyone is starting out.
just... Yeah.
So
Maybe they're just trying to see if anybody had, like, natural talent towards a
yeah,
specific
something like
thing.
that.
I think ours, they just handed us a piece of paper, and I remember I wanted to play the flute, but it said, like, if you had a certain shaped, like, mouth, like, inside your mouth, you were better, and, like, I looked at mine, like, I had
Interesting.
and I'm, like, I was supposed to be better at the clarinet, so that's why I did it.
I
Otherwise, I
wonder-
wanted to play the
I
flute.
wonder if this was like that. I really can't remember
It wasn't
like
a
any of the
test,
questions that
though.
were on it. Ours was like a test. It was
Oh,
like
just
a
like-
packet of questions.
Oh, maybe it was, like, the same thing.
So
Interesting. I just remember playing
They-
recorder in, like, 4th grade. That's it.
yeah, well, that's how we all started. So they were like, you can play whatever you want, and for some reason I had, and again here comes my mother. For some reason I had, despite always having talked about playing drums because of the Mickey Mouse kit. I didn't realize they were like, name 3 instruments you want to play. I didn't realize you were ranking them. So I just put like saxophone first or something, and like drums was on there. I don't
Yeah.
remember what the other one was. And so I almost ended up playing, I guess, saxophone, but my mother was like,
Smooth jazz.
she was like, they were telling you to pick like, you know, your number 1.
Yeah.
Like, you have to change it. You always wanted to play drums. I was like, I didn't know. So I
Go back to school.
went and told them, and they were like, oh, okay, we'll change it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So then I
That's
started
adorable.
learning, you know, they would teach us like classical all the drums, a very formal technique and
Yeah.
everything, which is great. I think.
I still can't believe that I didn't know you played the drums and that was
Yeah,
like your
it's
first
weird that we
instrument.
never talked. Like, you knew I was a musician.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I always pictured you playing guitar. I don't
I think
know
that's
where
just
that came
like the
from.
first thing people
Yeah.
go to.
Because
you
most
know?
people play
Yeah.
guitar.
Yeah,
And I have played guitar almost as long. So I started doing the classical percussion at 10.
Mm-hmm.
Did that. Privately sought out some Latin percussion instruction, which you can actually hear in our songs a lot. And then started doing jazz drumming in addition to all of that in high school. Started self-teaching keyboard and guitar. Was doing like choir, chorus that whole time
yeah.
also. The singing never was, as heavy for me as the music.
Your
Yeah.
forte.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm a drummer. And then like was in however many stupid like pop punk bands in high school. Obviously, not saying pop punk is stupid, as you know. I love a lot of pop punk bands, but
Yes.
though the bands I was in were very stupid. They were terrible. Oh, it's a
Cat
kitty. Aw,
destroying
kitty
things.
making a mess.
Yep, as they do.
And that basically took me through high school, and then and I was really serious. Like I did like all county jazz, which was awesome experience. And then went to college and kind of just brought like an acoustic guitar and spent like all 4 years of college, like I didn't really drum or any of the other stuff.
Anyway,
And-
here's Wonderball.
Yeah, exactly. That never was a go-to for me.
Good.
As strange as that is, because it's supposedly everywhere. But
I did have a guy in my high school that he was in choir and he just carried an acoustic everywhere. He never played Wonderwall, but like he came in like my, I don't know, sophomore year, and he just carried it around everywhere.
it always
and I
rubbed
was
me
like,
the wrong way. Those dudes who just
Yeah.
carried.
No, even then I
around.
was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're kind of cute, but also, he was
Just
definitely
settle-
one of the popular
just
guys,
settle
though.
down. So yeah, I really just did that in college, which was basically like me taking time away from the musicianship and trying to learn like songwriting
Yeah,
stuff, which was great.
yeah,
And then after college, I was in like one fairly legitimate like touring alternative rock band as a drummer.
to
Ran out of
rework
energy.
all these like random like, not memories of you, obviously, but like whenever you imagine somebody,
Yeah.
have to rework all of those imaginings
Hmm.
with you behind a drum kit now. Because I just pictured you off to the side.
Yeah, you
like,
really had like a defined
I did.
image.
I really did.
Shattering worlds.
Yeah.
So I did that and then ran out of energy for being in the van for 17 hours.
Yeah.
Got an office job, and things kind of really started to slow down musically for me. Tried to be in like a couple other kind of underground bands, which was kind of started learning like studio-ish home recording kind of stuff at that time. Tried to record myself at home, just like my sad songs that I wrote by myself. But yeah, it was just like, it really just like slowed down. Definitely was part of like my deteriorating mental state during those years. And then just got really fed up, to make a complicated story about my mental health short. And in 2014, who would eventually be my wife, and I moved to a different part of the world. And just pulled the rug out.
Yeah.
And then when we came back to America, we came to Austin. And then I met Kelly a few months later. Well, I came back to Austin. I heard a band called The Midnight. God willing they ever hear this.
Were you the one that
Podcast.
somebody told me about them because I've started listening to them and
I'm sure it was me. I'm
they
sure
said-
it has to have been
the
me.
singer reminds me a lot of the singer from Neon Trees,
Yeah.
who I love.
I can hear that.
And I was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, he's got that kind of like really top
yeah,
hi-fi voice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're in like my playlist that I listen to the most, and I'm just every time it comes on, I'm like, "Who's this?
I
Oh
didn't
my
even
god,
know
it's
that. I'm so glad.
I don't know
I
if it
want
was you or
everyone to love
somebody
that
else.
band.
Somehow I came across them at night. I don't even know anymore because I learned of so many bands nowadays that
Well,
it
I
just
wouldn't be surprised if it was me, because I was still.
feel like it
I was
had
still
to
at
have been you.
LegalZoom when I started getting way into them.
But I feel like it was just recently. So how did this band come together?
Oh man, Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Yeah.
What?
You heard it here first. And Julie's Infinite Playlist.
It's not something to be ashamed of.
No,
how
just
It's
much
like
not
it's kind of come
something
to-
to be proud of
Right.
either.
the reaction most of the time from the few people I've talked to about it is always like, "What, really? No way, you know? How?" And I know why that's the reaction, because it would be mine too.
Yeah.
It's just like, especially in a city like Austin, which is just, number one, has a lot of people,
Yeah.
and number two, has a lot of musicians,
Yeah.
and number three, has a lot of musicians on Craigslist.
Yeah.
You just, like, you don't...
You don't expect
Everyone
it to-
gives up on Craigslist after,
Okay.
like, the fourth or fifth time
Yeah.
of, like, you know... And I think it probably was the third or fourth or fifth time
Yeah.
that I tried to, like, get on Craigslist myself and be like, is there anybody out there that I could possibly connect with?
Yeah.
You're
that I
like
could
fourth
do.
posting.
I had, like, just in this... Since Kayla and I moved to Austin, there had been, like, a few other times where I tried to use Craigslist to connect with
Oh, okay.
other musicians.
So did you make the post or did Kelly make the post?
Nick
I'm-
did.
yeah,
You
I
made the post?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
makes
had
sense.
made, so I had heard the Midnight,
Yeah.
had that whole revelation, and I made a song, like my first effort to go down that road.
Yeah.
And I had, like, it was like the most official, thorough venture into, like, producing a song that I had ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, like, made a website and everything for myself and all of that basically with the mentality of, like, I need to do as much as possible to, like, I don't know how else to say it, but just, like, make myself, like, appealing to
Yeah.
hopefully someone talented, you know,
Trap somebody.
basically.
Yeah.
To trap hi-hat somebody.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Yours wasn't the only ad I responded to. You know, but I mean,
Don't get
you
big
did have
head
a
about
nice ad. But yeah, you kind of had your shit together. He had like
Nice
a professional
ad.
photo of himself,
I did.
and he had a very drive-inspired song, and I liked that a lot. So
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Do you remember the name of your first band?
Oh, God, what was it? Because it changed the name, so let me try and remember the first name of the first band. I want to say... So I know that the name we had longer, which was changed to, was Point the Way, which is, really like just like a nothing kind of bland... Yeah.
It's not the worst one I've
we
heard.
could- No, right,
But that's pretty great.
Yeah, it's comical. And then before that, it was something really like kind of like trippier.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Colorblind Spectrum,
Ooh.
right? Because it's like an oxymoron, I guess. Kind
Yeah.
of thing,
It's kind of cool.
which came from my best friend who was in the band for many years. My best friend of many years was in that band, and his parents were like flower power hippies. So he had a lot. So this will be a throwback, right? I don't know if they even still have this, but there used to be like those you would get those felt kind of posters that you would color in
Yeah.
markers, yeah. So this dude had a
think
lot
he
of
still get
those
those.
because they were kind of like a trippy thing, right? He
Yeah.
had like this hippie-ish parents and like
Yeah.
very much that kind of scene.
Deadheads.
Yeah, and he had one on the ceiling. We were just like chilling in his room one day, trying to think of the band name, and it was like super colorful.
Yeah.
It was a spectrum of colors,
Right.
and I think one of us just made a comment of like, if you were colorblind, you know, like what must that be like?
Yeah.
Like what does that look like? You know, just
Yeah.
shades of green or something. Yeah. So colorblind spectrum, I think, is
I like it.
dumb name. That's how it came to be.
It's no pool
Was
sharks.
really funny. So this is no, it's not. It was really funny. Is we played a show that was like a benefit for the town library one summer, and the librarian lady was just like this kind of like stereotypical librarian lady.
You mean like 80s movie or like movie stereotypical or like real life stereotypical?
Kind of like Portlandia stereotypical.
I've never watched Portlandia.
Oh my lord.
I'm not a hipster.
Well, I'm not going to explain myself any further. People who matter will know what I'm talking about.
Are you talking about the woman's bookstore?
Kind
ladies?
of, yeah. So
They're
they would
funny.
have like kind
That-
of coveralls.
That
Hippies.
bookstore
Really
long
that
hair. They were
they
hippies,
just
yeah.
decide when they want to be open, and
Mhm.
you just go to the store and it's either open
Like
or
they
it's
can be
not.
very forceful, right? But they can also be very like quiet if they're
Right.
Yeah.
trying to be withholding. Speaking to the acting abilities of Fred Armisen and Gary Brownstein, please come back to us. Give us an 8th season. I miss you. I do. I'm sad that show's over.
Let it go.
I can't. So anyways, yeah. And she was introducing the band at that benefit, and she called us Color Me Bad.
Amazing. So great. I wanna sex you up.
That's funny.
That is amazing.
And that was when we changed the name.
Yeah. You're like, all right, this isn't gonna work.
Can't have that mistake getting made.
No,
Wait,
you
so
just
you-
start playing I Wanna Sex You Up. That's how that works.
We weren't ready. We didn't know the song.
Did you change it to Point the Way?
Yeah. To something like right.
Bad
but
change.
but you have to
Bad
but you have to
change.
understand if you're, you know, a bunch of straight white teenage boys and someone gets your name wrong and it becomes Color Me Bad,
Right, right.
you know, we're very self-conscious. We're like, we don't want to be Color Me Bad.
To point the way, like sword fighting or.
Yeah, just like, it's very much not like, it's very safe to the point of being terrible,
Right.
but like a safe name.
Right.
You
It was
know?
probably trendy at the time.
Yeah, we were into like,
The 3 word.
we were into like
All I keep
Switchfoot.
picturing is like an arrow, which
Yeah.
which would definitely be fitting for you, and it just makes me want to punch you a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
What's the significance of an arrow being?
Arrows
Fitting.
have just become a very popular thing
Yeah.
in pop culture nowadays, and
Have they?
for no real reason.
Yeah, like people with arrow tattoos.
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah, that
It's
terrible
just
thing.
trendy
Ooh,
more
I
than
was like,
anything,
wait, is your ring?
No, it's a feather.
feather. Yeah,
which is also really trendy.
yeah, that
Cute,
sucks.
I mean, it looks his wedding band is actually really amazing. It's a nice little feather type design,
Yeah, I like it.
not your typical wedding band look, which I like.
Yeah, it's like a conversation piece. You know, people are always like, people who were at the wedding to this day. You know, like my relatives.
Yeah.
I mean, they were wasted, so
Yeah.
whatever. Which is great. We had a great time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go home. You know, now like 2 years later.
I mean, you
and
do have an Italian family. I would expect nothing less than them to be wasted
just
at your
hammered,
wedding. Yeah.
just jumping up and down. Yeah, it was a great time. Yeah, hell yes.
I still love the fact that you ended it on "Can't Stop the Feeling."
Oh yeah. You had to.
Yeah.
You'd have to.
Yes.
Even now, I would argue that you have.
Oh
to.
yeah.
There hasn't been a better show-stopping song since "Can't Stop the Feeling." Thanks.
So
Vicky.
you know, I saw Justin Timberlake last year, right?
I'm so jealous. Yeah.
He played that, and I've never seen him solo live.
We gotta get Kelly on the mic here. She's making a face.
I'm not a fan of Justin Timberlake.
I'm gonna ask you to leave right now. This
JC all the
interview is
way.
over.
Jesus Christ, people.
You looked.
She's
Did
a
you
Jesus
see that
fan.
picture of them when they got their
JC.
Walk of Fame star 2 weeks ago?
No.
He looks like a vampire.
Hot.
He looks like he wants to be on like
He would.
the remake of Interview with a Vampire.
Hey, no phones.
All right, later. I'm gonna show you
Show
this
you.
because as soon as I saw it, all I
Oh.
could see, when I saw it, like looked at JC, I was like, why does he look like a vampire?
Yeah, shortly, like after the NSYNC thing and he tried to do his solo act, it was so bad. Like he just wasn't good looking
tried to
anymore.
do
Is he
solos?
trying to do something?
Yeah, he had digital get down.
No, that was NSYNC.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
She knows. So
I'm a walking, talking.
I'm pretty
NSYNC
sure he tried to do a
encyclopedia.
solo thing and it was very sexual and it
That
was,
wouldn't surprise me. I always thought he
little
was gonna say he
off-putting.
was gay. I was so surprised when Lance came
I
out.
wasn't.
I was like, I also don't
I
have
was
a
not-
great gaydar,
I was not
so
surprised. Yeah.
I'm
I'm told I have a pretty good gaydar.
spot on gaydar there. Yeah, unless it's
Someone who's
really
proudly part
obvious,
gay.
or it's somebody that doesn't realize.
Oh yeah.
I'm really good at picking up on people that don't know that they're gay.
Everyone's a little.
Oh, me too.
Right?
Me too.
It's weird. Like, I've literally had, like, last year, I had
You know,
3
it
different
always-
friends, like, oh, hey, I think I'm into women, too. And I was like, what is happening? Ha.
Maybe they're all just into you.
No, that's definitely not what it was.
No, I've had the same thing. Like,
Be nice.
I've had.
It would be
Where I-
nice because all my
I
friends
thought-
are freaking
Very
hot.
flattering.
Sorry.
Getting on here.
I don't think any of
Like,
those friends listen to this podcast, but they all know.
Speaking of that, we were talking about the Avengers before. Oh my God, Chris Evans in Infinity War.
Yeah. Would you go a little gay for Captain America?
Ooh, I went like all the way gay for a
He doesn't do
minute.
it for me.
That's crazy to me. Oh my God.
I like
Up,
blondes.
up until the beard, I had been all about Chris Hemsworth for
Oh.
obvious reasons.
Oh, are you talking about the comedian? I don't know who you're talking about.
No.
Then.
Chris
the
Hemsworth is
Avengers.
Thor.
Thor,
So
and then who was
Thor.
Chris Evans?
Captain America.
Which he's not anymore. He wasn't really Captain in the Avengers. He's just Steve Rogers now.
No, he's still Captain America.
Shit, oh my goodness.
They just, they're not technically through the U.S. government or whatever anymore.
He had the beard and kind of a black outfit thing, and then Black Panther was like, "Get this man a shield."
That entire moment was really hot
Yeah,
with both
The
of them.
scene where they were both running,
Yeah.
like ahead of the rest of them. Oh my God! I was
Yeah.
like, "This is the coolest fucking thing."
Yeah.
Which the internet agrees, because
No, it was so good.
every time I'm watching an Avengers thing on YouTube,
I would
people are
much
always like,
rather
"That
talk
movie
about the
over
good
there."
parts of that movie than anything
The
else.
whole movie was good in the sense that it was a good movie.
I'm still very emotionally damaged.
You know what's great is, I mean, there's like so much gravity on that movie, right? Like
Yeah.
10 years
Yeah.
of the first like
Build up.
interconnected universe and all of that.
Yeah.
Like it literally was like all of this time and energy has led to like this one moment. Everyone sit down and let's see like if the last 10 years of our lives were wasted.
And
you
it was
know?
not at all.
And yeah.
Not at all.
amazing. I don't know how you pull that off. I would have caved hard under
Well, and
that pressure.
I saw somebody, Chris Hardwick's wife, actually, Lydia Hurst, said that it doesn't feel like they got everybody in, but it doesn't feel like it was overdone or like too heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, after it was done, I was like, no, everybody felt like they had their right amount of time in the movie.
Yeah, everyone kind of fell right into it was like a puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever,
So smart.
I feel like they probably filmed like 10 hours
Yeah.
worth of movie and then just kept putting it together until it fit just right.
Probably more even.
Yeah, probably.
It's usually how it goes anyways.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean like 10 hours total. I meant like if
Like,
you put
there
it
was
in
a 10-hour
sequence.
script.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of cut it down.
Yeah, I'm sure they shot like hundreds and hundreds of hours of actual
Probably,
footage.
yeah.
Yeah. For what was probably a 10-hour script and then
Yeah.
probably not 10, but
Something like
anyways, so
that. Kelly,
yeah.
what was your first band name?
Dorsia.
Dorsia.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess
Dorsia
you've done, like,
bitches.
all- you've mostly just done solo stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wanted to do a band because I didn't want like all the focus to be on me.
Yeah.
So here we are.
But all the focus is still definitely on her.
Is it? I don't think so.
I
You
don't
have a lot
know.
of solos.
I'm not
Yeah.
doing my job right if the focus is not on you, honestly.
As
For
producer?
a couple of reasons.
I guess I'm kind of an outlier. I tend to look at everybody in the band when I'm
Yeah,
watching.
well, no,
them
that's
play, so-
you're not an outlier. I guess for anyone who becomes into a band or an artist, right,
Yeah.
they'll
Notice
they'll
other
look at the
people.
whole thing.
Yeah.
But for a casual, like my mom is one of those people who just hears the singer, you know, like
Yeah.
Queen was Freddie Mercury for her. And I'm like, crazy, like Roger Taylor, Brian May, like the greatest rock stars of all time. you know, are
I
in that
don't
band.
actually know the other members
No.
of
Oh
Queen's
Oh my
name.
God.
Which is actually
They're
really
the
terrible.
greatest rock band ever.
One of.
The greatest. The greatest rock band of all time.
Actually, I don't know if I can argue with you on that. I think
Well,
I might also feel that same way because I have some very strong feelings about that movie that's coming out. Or I don't have strong feelings. I don't know how I feel about it yet.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how that's going to go. But Mr.
You
Robot
kind of
is a cool
already
dude.
described your music.
Yeah.
80s inspired
Yeah.
indie,
Like,
moody.
kind of really well.
pop.
Usually by this point, like, there could be more in depth, but I felt like that was pretty
That's good.
great at the beginning. You've had one show. What would you like your shows to be like? Since I feel like it's not quite there to.
Better than that one. For me, experientially.
Oh yeah, Nick was playing in 2 bands that night.
Yeah.
Very
It's very
stressful.
stressful. Well, honestly, the real reason that I don't want to say a bad time, but that I had
Everybody
such
was playing for the first time. Too.
an anxious time playing our set was just because everything between the bands getting there to that moment became very hectic.
Yeah.
So just as you said, it was the first show for all 3 of the bands, and one of the bands, I don't know what, but I'm going to speak badly, so I won't, but I don't know what was going on, but it just ended up taking a really long time for everything to get set up properly
Yeah.
So
for
what
them.
do you want to see going forward? Like, how would you want our shows to be? Or look?
For me, I'd like to, and again, for the reasons just discussed, you know, it would probably otherwise wouldn't have been so rigid for me. I would like to be able to, like, loosen up a lot more
Yeah.
and enjoy playing
Yeah.
the show, which, you know, to be perfectly frank, I didn't really enjoy playing when we were playing,
Yeah.
just because I was having to concentrate
Yeah.
really, really hard.
There's too much
'Cause
going
I
on.
was just like up
We were a
until
little rushed.
up until the second we started playing, it was kind of panicky.
Yeah.
So going forward,
Yes. Well, I answered.
I'm
the
just
question, right?
thinking, like, well, yeah, like, what's an ideal? I think it's a good question. I'm just trying to. I haven't really thought about it, but I'm thinking maybe we could do more with, like, lighting and making it a little more artistic
Yeah.
in that way.
Yes, definitely yes. I would.
Do we want, like,
I would contend that that area of the show is perhaps less of a priority than some other areas.
Sure.
But yes. So yeah, ideal world,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. That is like a big. I'm definitely right there with Kelly.
Yeah.
On that, because, like, I think aesthetic is a very, very big thing for, you know, where we established ourselves to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we have, like, an established kind of, like, color scheme for, like, the photos that we've had taken and, like, the album artwork and the logo and everything.
Yeah.
For that reason. So I would definitely agree.
Is
Just having a very uniform produced look
Yeah.
is just that's a part of, like, when you think about, like, 80s oriented stuff, especially, like, pop stuff, you know, you think about, like, the kind of neons and
Yeah.
things like that.
mm-hmm.
So definitely with the right production budget.
Yeah.
You can say, like, you can rent lights and everything, but you gotta know how to work them.
Yeah.
And all that. It's just, like, it's a lot. So.
Yeah. I've seen a few bands bring in, like, extra lighting type stuff, and it's
Well,
interesting.
we did, actually, for that show.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was... Actually, I didn't get to ask you about this because, as I keep saying outside of this podcast, Kelly and I, like, didn't get to even interact after
Yeah.
we walked off stage because I had other stuff that I was responsible for.
Yeah.
But were you blind on stage? 'Cause I was getting...
Was I facing the wrong way?
I say it like, you fucking blind? What was that performance, Kelly?
Was.
No. I was asking because we had these 2 kind of little, they're called dots par lights, but it's basically like small spotlights.
Yeah.
One was like electric blue and one was electric pink, and the pink was on her and the blue was on me. and just the angle that mine was happening at. Like, I
couldn't
couldn't look
see.
out to the audience without getting a lot of
Oh, okay.
that light right into my eyes. So.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't blind, but the pictures that I saw of us after the show, you look like Patrick Swayze from Ghost. Because
Yeah.
you're like a blue color, and you look like you're not part of. It's
Like
very
semi-transparent.
holy. It's very. I'll have to post the photo. He looks like he's floating, like up to
Did you see Ashley's photos, by the way?
Ash. No, I haven't seen him.
You guys must have, that text must not have gone through. She sent me the Dropbox link.
No,
and
I haven't seen him.
Sent it to you and
Are they good?
Josh. Yeah, actually, I really like them.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Ashley. Again. And again.
What's your favorite thing about playing live?
It's hard to say because I didn't have a good time.
You played live
a good
other
time.
times.
You could tell you were having a good time. Thank God.
You could tell I was
Kelly
having a good time.
Kelly was nervous going in,
Yeah.
and
So
she
nervous.
I mean,
she killed it.
kind of expected
Yeah.
for a first show.
But you couldn't, like, were you nervous once we started?
No.
Did it dissipate? Yeah,
I was-
because if you were, I was like, you are a professional actor. Like,
No, because we sat around for 2.5, 3 hours before the show. So I'm like, all right, let's get this over with. And then, you know why I liked it? Because everybody was talking.
oh.
That made me feel really good.
See, that made me a little paranoid because I couldn't see at all.
Yeah.
So I could see there was a couple of, like, front row faces.
Yeah.
And I could hear a lot of talking, which I have no problem with because it's like what you do at a show and in a bar. But
I got a little angry with the talking.
well,
When it's a louder band, I don't really care because the louder bands I can just hear and I can't hear the talking. But with you guys, I almost was like, shut up.
Yeah.
This
listen
is
to
your
Joe.
first time playing. Shut the fuck up.
But I guess it was good because apparently it made Kelly a little more at ease.
Yeah.
And I just was thinking, like, are there, like, the 5 people that we know standing in the front watching, and then everybody else, I can hear a lot of talking. Are they,
Yeah.
like, all just facing the other way? Like, you know,
There's
in
10
groups,
people
like,
in the front. No, there's more people than that.
I mean, it doesn't matter either way, but,
Yeah.
you know, I just was, like, I was left to wonder because I couldn't see anything. I could see Kelly.
Yeah.
The only person I could see
That's too bad.
was,
I could see a lot going on.
that's good. I wonder if it isn't maybe just like a better that way to
Yeah, I think
sometimes
so.
to not be able to see.
I think
Yeah.
that is better. Because then you can lose your focus, like if you
Yeah.
focus on somebody's face or.
Yeah, and I was having to concentrate so hard as it was to
Yeah.
recover from the chaos that was the 10 minutes leading up to us playing.
Yeah.
Because what was happening was the sound wasn't working coming out of my rig, if you will. And I couldn't figure out why. And thank God it just magically started working.
What's your favorite part about playing live?
Oh, that was the question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Uh,
One thing.
It's really hard to say, honestly. I know that I've usually had a good time playing live,
Yeah.
and I've never really thought about why, and I don't know if I could really put it into words, honestly. It might be, like, really weird to say,
Mhm.
but I don't know if there's words for, you know,
I have 2 things.
good. So she's got 2, and I have none, so.
I think kind of the adrenaline
Mm-hmm.
is kind of fun. And I'm also excited that it's almost over.
Yeah. That
I
actually...
get that.
Yeah, I'm
That
like
actually-
excited. Oh, good, it's happening. It's almost
You
over.
know what, I was
Yeah.
thinking about that earlier today, because I've been trying to...
No, because I remember being in choir and
Yeah.
all of that time leading up to the performance, all you're doing is focusing on
Yes.
getting the performance right. And then when it happens, no matter how good or bad it is, you're
You
just
don't
like,
care.
Right, you
it's
did
fucking
it.
over.
Yeah.
Right, the
yes.
relief of when it's
That-
done. I felt like I could enjoy myself. I had such a good time after, like hanging out with my friends and everything
Yeah,
and
yeah,
talking.
the weight gets lifted.
right.
Yeah.
So I'll hop on that.
I mean, it's not
That's
a
just my favorite.
the best thing to say, but and then you get a lot of appreciation.
I think
and
anybody
approval.
who has played a show
Yeah, of any
would
sort,
definitely agree
any kind of
and
performance.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Played a show in quotes. Any kind of thing where it's like I did theater in high school.
Yeah.
Similar kind of thing. It's months of like all of your time
Yeah.
and thought getting ready for like this one thing, and then
My experience is funny because I did do theater in high school, but it wasn't high school theater. I performed at a community theater.
that's legit.
Yeah, which is weird, but it happened. And it was never just one performance because it's a community theater. So it was like a month-long run of a show. So it was like 4 weekends of performances. So it was never just like, okay, we're done. It
Yeah.
was, all right, we're done for this weekend.
Yeah, because with the high school one, it was one weekend.
Right.
It was like 2 shows.
Yeah.
Or something. And I would also get depressed after it was over.
Really?
Yeah, I get that too because it's
you're
like,
hanging out with these people and having a great time.
Yeah.
You know, like every day and all that. So
that, and there's also just like the. So usually whenever I go, specifically when I go to shows, a lot of times I get a high from all the energy, and then coming down from that can be kind of depressing. So I can see how that might also
yeah, that's kind of
play
like
into it.
it's like the whole thing about a show is getting some kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
When I saw Bleachers fairly recently, it was like the first time since probably the last time I saw Bruce Springsteen that I had gotten so like worked up
Yeah.
at a show.
I cried during the entire first song that Justin Timberlake played. I'm not even ashamed of that.
Did he
in
open
total.
with a sad song?
No, I just was that excited, and like I said, I'd seen NSYNC perform a couple of times.
I
I'd
mean, zero
never seen-
judgment from me because
Yeah, it was, and it also like okay, so you know with bigger shows, there's always like the lights go down, and it's just kind of quiet, and everybody's just screaming.
Yeah.
So
deep breath before the plunge.
yeah, and it was hilarious because I was watching the Pentatonics concert movie on Netflix.
Oh, of course you were.
And I love Pentatonics. And they had that moment and they showed it and I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have that moment with Justin Timberlake soon. Because obviously, like, any big show, that's always what happens. It's like,
Justin Timberlake.
That moment with Justin Timberlake. It's just me and him.
just me and him. I'm literally like
You know, it
thousands
can-
of feet away from the
At
stage.
a
and
good
just-
show, it can feel
Yeah.
that way.
Well, and that's the thing. So, like, he comes out, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, yes, I've seen him perform twice before in my life, but, like, this is, like, what? Almost 20 years since I saw him perform with NSYNC? Because I think it was, like, in 2003.
It's totally different. Totally different thing.
Like, yeah. And this is him performing all those songs that I've been listening to for, like, 10 years
Right.
as a solo artist.
Great songs.
And I cried. Like, I knew I was going to cry. I didn't expect it to last as long as it did, but it
It's so
did, and
good,
it just-
though.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's so good.
And, like, I literally danced the entire show, like, every song
I
he played.
definitely cried when I saw Bleachers.
Yeah.
That same show that I was just talking about.
And it was yeah. I haven't had a show like that ever. Like, Justin's the only person that's brought that
That's
much
like-
emotion out of me.
That we didn't talk about before,
Mm-hmm.
but like when we talked about like getting into music and like our respective musical paths, like that experience,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like time and time again,
Yeah.
was like what drove me
Yeah.
to do any of those things
Yeah.
that I was doing.
True.
Is that experience?
Yeah.
When I saw Leaky Lee, I saw her in L.A.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
No.
Or I don't know if you're that. I don't even know how to say her name.
I think that's how you say it.
Lee
I've
Lee,
heard of
Likey
her. I've
Lee?
never listened to her, or I think
So-
I kind of checked her out and I was like,
Oh.
personally.
When I saw her, I cried, and I'm like, that's when I realized I'm like, I idolize her so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's different with Justin Timberlake. You're a fan. You don't want to be Justin Timberlake.
Right.
But with like her, I just was like, I want to be her as everything as she is so much, and it was just like so moving to see her like performing.
Yeah.
I cried with Jewel too when I saw
That's
her.
an interesting distinction because now
That is an
I'm
interesting
going back and I'm wondering. I think there's only actually been 2 times I've teared up at a show, and one was Bruce Springsteen, which will surprise nobody, and the other one was Jack Antonoff, which I was just talking about, which is Bleachers. And I'm like just thinking really hard to myself now. Like, was it because I probably both, but was it because I wanted to like be that, you know, or was it like a pure they're doing something that is just affecting me as a as a viewer and listener.
I will say that I did see Rivals last week, and for the first time in a very long time, a female singer made me want to try singing again. I was just like, I want to do what she's doing, and I almost want to be her. It was so surprising, like it hit me out of nowhere.
I wonder if one effect is more powerful than the other. You know, I wonder if like the Leaky Lee. If that's how you say it.
I think for me, because when I saw Jewel, I was such a big fan, and yes, I wanted to be like Jewel, but I was younger then, and I didn't really think it was possible, or I don't know. For me, it was like more of a
far away.
For me, it was more of like a celebrity thing. Like when she was just walking out on stage, I started to cry because I'm like, oh my god, she's a human being.
Yeah,
it was just surreal seeing her.
Right.
And then for Leaky Lee, I think it was almost more painful to be wanting to be her and feeling, like I couldn't have it.
I would say what I felt last week was a lot more powerful than with Justin. Like, because with Justin, number one, I expected it, but also, like, same thing, kind of a celebrity, I've been in love with him for, I don't know, 20 years now, whatever.
So here's another distinction that I'll throw into the mix then. Because thinking about it now, I'm like, okay, I don't think, so the way that you guys are describing that experience of the kind of wanting to be experience, it's like, and you'll have to correct me if this is wrong, but the way that it's sounding is like, it's almost like this is painful. I want to assume that role. It's almost like, I don't want to say jealousy, but it almost that it hurts.
So
that, like,
I've experienced the jealousy, almost jealousy, and last week was different. It was very much like very inspirational, like.
So that was going to be the distinction question. So is it like, is that in fact feeling like I want to be that person? Or is that not actually just them doing their art thing, just affecting you, not really so much of like a, so there's like a runoff, like side effect of like, that affected me so much that I wish I was doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
But is it not first and foremost like I'm just being affected by what this person is doing?
I don't know. I also think that like this, she just, I don't know. I don't even know the singer of Rival's name. But I also just kind of got into them recently. It was just, she made it seem more attainable, I guess, than other people have for me.
Maybe more of your style or
It's like that,
in like a way that
it's like, oh, they're human.
Yeah. Kind of. I just, I don't know. She just made it look way more.
To have this whole thing in your head
more
of
of a
like,
possibility, I guess.
Like you've immortalized what they're doing. You sat around and listened to them and like had all of these things happen.
Yeah.
Emotionally, and then suddenly they're there in front of you, and like it's real.
I don't think that's what she's saying about Rivals, though.
No. I mean, that was definitely the feeling I had with Justin.
Right. That's the big celebrity kind of effect. Yeah.
Maybe with Rivals and like it's more of, like I said, kind of like your style, kind of like, oh, I could see myself kind of doing it that way. Like I've seen it, other people perform and everything, and it seems, good for them, but the way they were doing it maybe kind of.
But that feeling to the point of tears?
No, I didn't cry.
Okay, I thought you did for some reason.
No.
I misunderstood.
I mean, I probably could cry, because they have very powerful.
I'll cry at anything.
Yeah. Well, and right now.
I was gonna say when we started talking about it, like, for all of the cried when I saw this person live thing, like I will cry just sitting at home listening for the millionth time to, insert song here.
Oh, I was just gonna say the soundtrack for
La La Land.
La La Land.
Yeah.
You still cried at that?
Yeah. It's to the point where, and you obviously know this, but it's like, like once a week or something, I'll be like, I need to cry.
Yeah. So you just put that on.
Put on that, or and you've got to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Too, to get the payoff
Yeah, no, that makes
at
sense.
the end, which is not the case with some other things. So like Lullaby by Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Parentheses, Good Night, My Angel, I think. I should know for sure, but I don't. Guaranteed, like within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'll be
Just
like
bawling.
a real puddle.
Yeah.
Something Fine by Jackson Brown. Jungle Land by Bruce Springsteen. But again, you've got to, and you would never skip to the end.
Yeah.
But you do have to listen to the whole like 8 minutes of it to have because it's at the end where he takes you there, you know? He takes you to that place
Yeah.
with the, you know, the reverb on the voice and the...
You know what?
you
This
know.
is going to probably make you laugh, but the one song that I know for sure is going to make me cry is hearing Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick do
Oh, no.
True Colors.
Justin and Anna.
And I know that sounds so dumb because it's from the Trolls soundtrack.
Kind of sounds dumb.
And it sounds ridiculous, but there's like a lot there's a lot behind
judge you
it than
for
more
that.
than just that.
Yeah, right?
But like every time.
I don't think I've ever cried from listening to a song.
Really?
But that's the only one that, and it's so
Wow.
weird because I have so many emotional ties to so many songs. That is the only one that I know for sure is like 30 seconds in. I'm just gonna,
You're just like, yeah.
Just
you're
gonna
like,
start
it-
crying.
Like, if you needed to cry,
yeah,
you could...
I would just put that
yeah.
on.
mhm.
The only thing I can think in this is I have the worst one.
Oh, boy. I want to sex you up.
Butterfly Kisses.
Oh, no.
God,
that's
that's
not the
so
worst.
good.
That's...
No, that actually,
cheesiest.
that would
It's
make
the
me cry
most
too,
basic.
honestly.
Yeah.
But
well,
according to your LaCroix personality test,
Orange.
having
is
a
exactly
favorite, her favorite is
So,
Orange LaCroix. She's
My
basic.
sister and my dad danced to that, obviously, at my sister's wedding. And a gift that I think it was
Surprising
my dad's...
nobody.
Right. I think my dad's birthday gift from my sister later that year. Was it his birthday gift? Maybe it was Father's Day. Anyway. She got like a canvas print of one of the pictures of them dancing together with lyrics from Butterfly Kisses.
God.
And my dad opens it and I started crying.
I
And my
was
dad
like,
was like, "Why?" Both my dad and my sister, "Why are you crying?" Because
I
it's
would
just so
cry.
sweet.
yeah.
I
I was gonna
would
say,
cry.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I would,
I
if I
just-
was within 50 yards of
Yeah,
that,
no, I just
I
started.
definitely would start
and they
weeping.
both looked at me like I was
So
crazy.
beautiful.
That's why
They're
you
like,
have
"Julie,
to,
we know you cry all the time," and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Well, you know what? I've now had a child. It's even worse now. Okay."
Yeah, there you go.
that's what you have to label this episode as Butterfly Kisses.
Yeah, that one definitely reduces me pretty instantly. Too.
Reduces.
Which
is a good
there's
word.
a couple songs that. So here's a weird one, but same kind of thing, but with my mom, there's songs that over the course of my life, like, you know, just became like songs that her and I would like come back to.
Yeah.
Obla D by the Beatles, which is just such a like kind of
It's a
happy,
cute one.
Yeah.
upbeat song.
And
But
it makes
like,
you want to cry every time.
because I think about and like so now. I mean, I live like far away now from
Right.
my mom too, so like it's probably a lot of that.
Yeah.
'Cause who wouldn't miss their mother?
Exactly.
But yeah, that's like kind of it's just a weird thing, you know.
Yeah.
If you think about that song coming on and
Yeah.
someone kind of like getting upset,
Yeah.
you know.
You're like,
And then a couple other Beatles songs too.
Yeah.
Just like because she brought the Beatles into my life.
That's funny. My
Which-
dad brought the Beatles into my life.
I don't even really like the Beatles
My mom
that
did.
much. But, you
in
know,
my life, that's my favorite Beatles song.
That's a good one to start crying to.
mm,
That one I actually think I have memories from choir because I think
Wow. You
we
sang
did.
that?
Did we do? No, I didn't sing it. Somebody else. The guy I had a crush on in choir sang it, and I don't like now because it was also my senior year, I think, and that was part of it. Like that's why he was singing it. So I think that's why, because it's like that graduation kind of. Even though I would never go back to high
as
school.
we grow.
God damn it,
No.
Nick. Stop that right
No.
now.
Vitamin C.
That song, I think that came out after I graduated high school too.
Really?
Maybe.
No.
I graduated in
right.
2003. What song? Did it come out in the early 90s?
Maybe it was that year.
I mean, late 90s,
That
early
was definitely
2000s?
late 90s.
I feel like it was my brother's
was like
graduation song,
2000.
and it was
I
like
think that's-
2001.
yeah.
It might have been.
You know
Maybe
what was
look it up.
you know what was a good one was that what is his name, Baz Luhrmann?
Yeah.
Did that.
No, we just did the
Wear
typical
sunscreen.
Green Day.
Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 1999,
Oh.
wear sunscreen.
Wear sunscreen. Yep. What was that Green Day song? The acoustic one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The Time of Your Life. That was our
Good Riddance.
graduation
the-
song. Yeah,
Ours was
good
the Foo
riddance.
Fighters.
Nice.
I know,
Damn,
but
you had a badass group of kids.
Yeah.
I don't remember the song.
I'm only proud of the Green Day one just because
I
it's
bet I can
Green Day.
guess. I bet I can guess what it is. Hold on. What's that called? Because there's one that would easily work for like a graduation. So,
Darling Nikki.
Jesus
kidding.
Christ.
Which is not even original.
Times
Foo
like
Fighters.
these.
Yeah, that was
That
it.
makes
Times like
sense.
these, you learn to love again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes complete sense. Wow.
It does. I don't think
Good
we had a
job.
graduation
What class
song.
was that? What year did you graduate?
2005.
Nice.
Holla.
2005, whatever school you went to. Good job.
Yeah.
Port Huron Northern.
Really. That's you know.
Good.
You're
That's not
welcome.
your
job.
that's not your corny shit.
Not at all.
No,
So
it's
some
good.
some
I don't
awesome
know who
shit.
chose it, but good for
Everyone
them.
was apparently on board.
Yeah.
So
Good job.
that definitely wouldn't have flown at my high school. I don't think we had like a graduation song, but
I think it would have flown at my high school, but that's also because I was in the right generation for that, I think. Because that's when Foo Fighters were starting to really...
I graduated in 06.
You
so I don't
graduated
know.
the year my sister graduated. That's so weird. I'm sorry. That just weirds me out a little bit.
And I'm also married, as is your sister.
Are you
So-
just trying to rub this shit in my
Yes.
face?
I
That
know,
I'm
mine
older than
too.
you and, like,
Oh.
not as accomplished?
Mine
Thanks.
too? Yeah.
Well, I
I
should
don't know
say
about accomplished.
society...
That's an accomplishment.
Settle down. Ugh.
Society's version of accomplished.
Yeah,
Right.
which is meaningless.
Yes, it really is.
I cannot
I'm actually really proud of where I'm at right now.
say
Thank you.
that. You should be.
I have a better job. This podcast is amazing.
Yeah.
Things are going
I
good.
think you're.
And your hair
Killing
looks
it.
good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
it's really grown out.
It has. I have to chop a lot of it off, though.
Mm.
Sometime soon.
I see.
I like it when it's
I don't know.
darker on the top and
Thank you.
lighter.
Yeah, that's the lighter stuff is damaged stuff.
That's
why
how
chopped
I.
off.
When you were
I like how it
behind me
looks
on
though.
North Lamar the other day. it
That's
was
how
the
you
hair.
found me. Yeah,
I was like, oh, blue hair. It's like Julie.
yeah.
And I was like,
Whenever,
it's longer than what I remember, but her hair would be longer now. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, is that Julie?
whenever people are trying to find me anywhere, I'm like, I am tall with blue hair. Just look for
Blue
the blue
hair.
hair. But like higher up than probably where you're at, because I'm taller.
Our
than
friend
most people.
Tyler, who infamously has a giant blonde afro.
Nice.
So, easiest dude to spot
Yeah.
ever in a crowd.
Yeah.
Because he's as tall as I am.
I've
at
now
least, too.
had people a couple of times come up to me and say, "Hey, do you do the podcast?"
They're
And
like,
I'm like,
hey,
"What?"
are you holding right now?
They're not musicians. They're just people that go to shows. And I was like, "Yeah, I do
Nice.
the podcast." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you at some shows." And I'm like,
So people actually listen.
"Yeah, I have
That
listeners."
must be nice.
I don't know how many people like are repeat listeners,
We
but
have 16 listeners in Houston,
ooh,
apparently.
how did that happen?
I don't know anybody in Houston.
Neither do I. I don't know how that's happening. But
Interesting.
according to some analytics on the
You know
on
what
the
probably
interwebs,
happened? They probably were there at the show because they were visiting.
Maybe.
Maybe
And then
a
they
whole
went back to
16
Houston.
people. You know,
That's a pretty good number.
it just
You're
it's
gonna have to go
weird.
play Houston soon.
Well, those
for
were the
those
first words out
16
of Kayla's
people.
mouth when she saw that.
Really?
She was like, "You're playing a show in Houston, Texas tour,"
Yeah,
and I was like, "God help me."
do it. You don't have a job tying you
I mean,
down.
we'll
You
have
totally do
to.
it.
I mean,
Well, you don't.
yeah,
Me neither.
it's a. We will have to start having some conversations about the next things
Yeah.
that we're doing.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't think we're there yet.
no.
What is your writing process like?
Oh, it's fun.
Oh, that's a good question.
Thanks.
It's like it doesn't feel long, but it must be really long, right? Like, well, no, it wasn't actually. Oh, God. Come on, people.
It took me a second on that one, but I was just like, damn.
Hands around your.
Waist.
That's good. That's a good setup. You're welcome. That was a high five.
Hashtag high five.
Anyways, I take it back anyways because we did the last 3 songs in like 2 weeks
Yeah.
from nothing. But the first 2 songs that we wrote, it seemed like, which I guess is like it makes sense because we had just met and decided to try to write music.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it
I
took,
feel like there was never a moment where we're like, hey, let's try to write music together. It was just kind of like, it just started happening.
see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to like Guitar Center like immediately after we met up for the first time.
Really?
And was just screwing around on some keyboards.
Yeah.
You felt
I just do that
inspired.
sometimes. Yeah, well, just because like I'm a musician, so I like to go play with toys, and you can go to a place like Guitar Center and just noodle
Yeah.
for a couple hours.
Noodle is my favorite way to describe just, noodling, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're just
It's
noodling.
accurate.
You're just noodling. But yeah, I immediately was like, oh, could this be a song?
Yeah.
From what I knew at the time of her
Yeah.
voice.
And your noodling.
Yeah. And I sent her like a voice memo, I think, or something like, "Hey, just was screwing around with this."
Probably an email.
Probably, right? It's always
Yeah.
an email. Yeah. I don't like texting
Yeah.
like files.
So
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
basically, Nick writes the background music.
Mm-hmm.
Or the music.
Well, it is, but no, like so I'll happily call it that because I feel like it would, and that just goes right back to what I said before, that I wouldn't be doing my job if everyone wasn't focusing solely on her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pointing at Kelly right now. I keep forgetting this is an audio recording, because I've only ever really wanted to. Not so much now since the whole synthwave thing. I've noodled around with doing some purely like instrumental stuff, totally just for fun.
Yeah.
Like really sitting down and working on songs. I only ever really want to write songs that they're just gonna have vocals.
Yeah.
And it was just a matter of before it was like my stupid voice, and now it was something infinitely better. So that's exactly it is.
Yeah.
Like it is inherently the background for whatever she's.
So anyways, I get the music and I listen to it and I try and find a melody and then I sing into the thing and then I send it back to him. Nick tells me if he likes it or not and I go, okay.
I try to make some suggestions
Yeah.
here and there.
What, do you just sing melodies, or do sometimes you have like words to go along with it at that point, or?
Usually it's just melodies.
Yeah.
Jesus, Kelly. Snap out of it. But that is...
No, usually I record the melody and Nick's like, I love it! I'm like, okay.
Yeah, first time, every time, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
I'm like,
That actually is
is
like
it good
a really,
or do you just like everything?
That is a really good like fun fact
Yeah.
for Dorsia, the writing process.
It's all just
pretty
been
much
spot on immediately.
like, easily over 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Like her first thing that she just hums into her phone and she's listening to a musical idea. I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah, and it's funny how like I'll listen to it, I'll kind of hear something, and then I'll kind of sing like a melody over it, and then I kind of do it like 3 times or something, and it's funny how you'll just keep singing the same little parts here, like you can kind of pick up on it.
Oh yeah.
And then I usually send like one of those versions over to you.
See, I was right. This is the much more interesting half of the process. It is because there's actual like there's work being done rather than with me. It's a lot of up to that point.
There's a lot of work.
But it's like it's tedious. It's just a lot of like fine, kind of nitpicking musical ideas to get it most of the way there, so that because less noticeable but hugely more important musical changes will happen after I feel like we've decided what she's going to do.
Yeah.
Because obviously, again, I can't stress this enough, like the point of the music is to serve what she's doing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want something getting in the way.
Yeah.
Right? Which any aspiring musicians and songwriters out there not that I'm an expert, but I think people who are experts would say that's a note worth remembering. Serve the song. There's no ego involved.
Good point.
So, yeah, but that's it's really interesting.
So
I get excited just thinking about this process.
Mm-hmm.
So she'll have these ideas, and then she'll send me little clips.
Yeah.
Like different versions of one idea for the same part and different parts of the song.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like so much that it happens kind of quick, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Oh
there's
yeah,
a
but then
lot-
like that's why like he sent me something yesterday, and I'm like, I don't want to listen to it until I'm ready to sit down and put an idea into my phone, because I'm not just procrastinating. I'm like,
Right.
I want to have the time. And not like a lot of time, but I want to have like 20 minutes where I can sit and just.
And just be in the right headspace.
Yeah.
and
Because then
everything.
you'll also you'll start listening to it and you're like, oh, I think I want to do this. And then if you don't immediately record it,
Right.
then
You
you, don't
can
have
hear
it anymore.
something immediately.
Which is really dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm definitely on board with that
Yeah.
process. Because
Or you just get distracted from whatever you were doing before, and now you're just doing this thing, which is not necessarily always bad, but could be maybe not great.
because my feeling, obviously, is a lot of the first things are the best things.
Yeah.
So you have one shot at that, right? So that can't be fucked with.
Right.
It's crucially important that be the case.
Yeah.
And then she'll have all these, what I think are wonderful ideas. Oh, it's an orange kitty.
Oh, she's so or he's so pretty. I mean, handsome.
Cutie. His interview's over. Cat.
He's really cute.
To wrap it up, if that's possible, she has all the ideas then, and she'll send them to me. And like she was saying, like, I will listen for small things that she's repeating, and that's always like my number one. Like, that's probably like a chorus idea or something. Because if she's coming back to something, that means it's where it wants to be.
Right.
You know.
It needs to be done a few times in the
Yes,
song.
exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then pretty much the only other process is she'll keep coming up with ideas, and the only thing I'll really try to do, unless I hear something that I really feel like doesn't work, which has rarely, if at all, been the case, is sometimes she'll have like so many good ideas that it's just a matter of like, okay, let me pick out my favorite like melodies,
Yeah.
little lines that she's doing, and just put them in an order that makes like what I feel like is a
That's
good
helpful,
melody,
too.
Yeah, for the music, because from my end it's like, okay, well, I know where the music can be taken to,
Right.
Yeah.
so this will work.
Especially because sometimes I don't know where the chorus is.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. That's
I'm like, I
yeah,
think
and
this is it.
that's a funny thing, because it's I think that's true for anyone who doesn't spend all of their time like trying to produce a song.
Yeah.
If you heard music that is designed to have words without words,
Yeah.
there's no way really to know like when it's happening.
Yeah.
Especially in some of our songs, it's almost quieter in the choruses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Miami, the first chorus, the music pretty much drops out.
Sometimes you can definitely tell, but other songs it was harder to tell. So I just kind of let it.
It's basically like she comes up with a lot of like, I guess you could say raw material,
Yeah.
which my input once that process starts is just trying to structure it
Yeah.
to its best self.
But when it comes to words, sometimes, when you're writing the melody, you can start to hear words coming out.
Yeah.
The possession begins. No, no. But like when we
Something
were...
just overtakes me.
I started speaking in tongues. It's a lot of pee-pees and poo-poos. Usually, we work very hard to not write pee-pee and poo-poo in this song.
Pee-pee.
Pee-pee. But Without You was the first song that we wrote together.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first
And it's still my favorite.
songwriting experience.
Mm-hmm.
I've written like lyrics and stuff growing up.
Yeah, I
Or
keep forgetting.
poems.
Yeah,
I'd never written any kind of melodies or songs or
I
anything.
like would never have been able to, like, you could have told me otherwise and I wouldn't question it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're a good teacher.
No, I didn't teach you anything, so that's bullshit.
Well, yeah. You did teach me a little bit because, well, you steered me.
There was
in the
maybe
right direction,
just a couple
probably.
of moments of, like, it might be hard to fit those words properly, kind
Right.
of.
Well, I'm talking more about even just making, like, building the melody.
Mm-hmm.
But so, like, without you, we kind of, when we were getting the melody, making the melody for that, without you just kind of came out. And.
Which is great.
Yeah.
That's like magic. When
Yeah.
that happens, that's when you know.
Or, I don't know.
Well, I think.
And then how we wrote that song is, I don't know if you remember, but I had just, like, lyrics, or I just had poems that I would write, just little short things that are just things that pop in my
I
head.
do remember.
And I had this from a couple years ago, and I was a procrastinator with that song because it was like our first one, and like things that I care about, I tend to put off. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh no, I gotta wait till it's like right, or I'm in the mood, or whatever.
It's good to finally know that it's because you care about it.
I've
and
learned
not
that in the last
opposite.
2 weeks. I've learned that in the last 2 weeks.
That I definitely had some moments, and we've never talked about this, but I definitely had some moments during that time of like, I don't know if she cares about this.
Maybe it was both. No, I definitely did care, but I was just like, didn't know how to do it, and I'm scared that I'm going to fail. You know what I mean?
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, so like, I was supposed to meet him in like 30 minutes before. And so like, I took the poem that I had, and I was like, I literally just kind of like, it just kind of fell into the melody. It was really weird. And then we tweaked it a little bit. Like, we added a couple lines, like in the second verse.
It worked
And
well
yeah.
and easily.
Yeah, for that one. Not the other ones as much. But
Yeah, some of the other ones was a different story.
Miami too, I wrote really quickly.
Yeah.
But
The first two took me forever,
Yeah.
and took her like 5 minutes.
yeah.
And then it wasn't the opposite with the other three, because the other three were all done really in like 2 weeks. But it definitely was,
Much more challenging.
there was more work involved on that end of the writing
Yeah.
Yeah.
process. But I think that might have also been because at that time we started being like, we're going to try and be more legitimate.
Well,
You know?
we just had more pressure, like, of a timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had gotten some
Yeah,
unexpected
true.
feedback, which was good.
Positive feedback.
Yeah, but it was a kick in the pants to act more swiftly,
Yeah.
if you will. So yeah,
Taylor Swiftly.
act Taylor Swiftly. I don't want to do that. I don't want to act Taylor Swiftly.
Please don't. So who are your influences?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, me. So, influences, like,
Well, this was going to be my question. Influences on the music that we are making, or influences like, oh, I heard this person on the radio when I was 5, and it has been a driving force of my love of music?
You're gonna hate me. Both.
oh,
That's
God.
2 questions.
I know. I know.
It's very different questions. Okay, well, which should we do first?
Let's do for Dorsia right now. Dorsia. Is it Dorsia or Dorsia?
Dorsia.
Okay. Dorsia. Okay, good.
Got an 8:30 res. Dorsia. How to get a table at Dorsia on Friday night.
It's another movie I haven't seen. Should probably see that one.
No, it's a
Yeah.
cult classic,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
they would say.
I think, so, like, when we met, we talked about how we liked pop songs that are very melodic. We talked about loving Celine Dion. So,
Hell
That was a big
I
one.
I think when I'm trying to, like, find a melody, I'm drawn towards angsty kind of choruses and keeping the verses a little simple. So I'm I think kind of like churches. I say, I don't know why. I think it's because it's kind of...
I saw that about to happen. Just like, oh, she's gonna hit
Sorry,
it.
I just ran into the microphone a little bit.
Just lean.
I kept doing that, like, on stage. Like, I almost said something like, hey, I close my eyes a lot when I sing, so sometimes I kind of bop into the microphone. I'm like, boop.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we'll get there. We'll learn to perform. The churches is interesting because I never thought about that, and then people... I shared the almost finished mixes with a few respected peers, and a few of them were like churches.
Like a mellowed church.
Yeah, like one guy in
churches.
particular says like a mellowed churches.
Interesting.
I
I don't really listen to churches, so.
I mean, initially, I was kind of feeling like Fantagram. I love her vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I love the heavy bass, but
That
our
was
music really doesn't sound like Fantagram.
that was a point of struggle for me.
Yeah. He was like, oh, okay. And he just...
I kept feeling like, oh, well, I need to try and take it in that direction.
Mm.
And it basically like reached a boiling point where there was one day where I just like ended up like texting Kelly like I can't, like I keep trying and I can't do it. It doesn't work.
I would like some fat bass lines, though.
Who doesn't want fat bass lines?
Some fat bass guitar. Boom.
Go disco. Disco with it.
Fever, night fever.
Yeah, I mean, there's you could say fat bass and that could mean any number of things.
Yeah, that's true.
So, you know what I'm thinking is...
Just don't drop it.
When I'm small, Fantagram,
Mm.
I love how it starts with the bass line. It's like the only thing you hear. Do you know what I'm talking about or no?
I can't remember which one is When I'm Small off the top
like-
of my head. Is that the do 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 do?
Yes.
Okay,
I just love that.
that's a great song.
Bass is always my favorite.
I thought that was guitar.
I assumed it was bass. Maybe it is guitar.
I don't know the song.
I don't know. I don't play guitar, as you can tell. I don't know.
If you need a bassist, Nick should teach me, and I'll just,
There's no way in which that would ever work out.
Ouch.
I'm not going to teach someone to be like
Then you
in our band.
teach me exactly how you would want the bass played, and then it happens.
Well, the problem is, just really quick sidebar, that already would be the case with someone who was great at bass. I would still
Yeah.
already bring them in and be like, here's what you should do.
Yeah.
Like, you need to already play very well to even be taught, like, how it's supposed to go. Which, like, we don't have any kind of complicated bass parts yet.
Yeah. Nick's just crushing my
Emphasis
dreams
on-
here.
Emphasis
That's all
on
that's
yet. But yeah. So anyways. Yeah.
And then
I want to fatten up the bass sounds. For
Yeah.
sure. There's a lot of things I want to try.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to work and what's not going to work.
And yeah. And also at the same time, I like it when I like listening to like really spacey sounding.
I was going to say that really right at the close of the Fantagram
Oh,
conversation.
okay,
I was going to be like, Kelly always brings up these sparse arrangements,
Yeah.
which
You mean songs I listen to?
yeah, well, specifically in regard to like when we're talking about things that we might try or something like that.
Yeah.
Which
I think they're always really powerful.
there's a lot. I think that's definitely right because there is sonically more space in the song for each thing to be more powerful because there are less things.
Yeah.
Because the
That makes
song
sense.
has a certain amount of space. So, mathematically speaking, that is the effect that ends up happening.
Like the Japanese house I'm obsessed with right now.
Yeah, that was funny because I forgot that I had seen them.
I know. I didn't know Muna. I didn't know
Muna.
Muna, sorry.
It's fine. They're just one of my all-time favorite
I
bands.
I don't hear it. I just find these things on Spotify and I don't hear
The name, how
the
it's
name
pronounced, yeah.
ever. Even though
They make it hard with names like Muna
Yeah.
or whatever,
Right.
I only know because I've heard them say it.
Yeah.
That sounds worse. I like Muna better. I'm gonna write them.
I don't care what they're called, honestly.
But yeah, I'll say, oh, I love this band. He's like, oh yeah, I used to listen to them. I'm like, you must like, and I'm like obsessing over these songs, like listening to them for months, like only that band at a time. Anyways,
I try to not do that.
I do that.
Kayla does that too.
Kayla does.
There's
Because you get sick of the thing.
There's
right?
very few that I can do for months. Usually it's like a week for me. The ones that I can do
I
for
agree.
months, that's really big.
Like the 1975 would be one for me. Which, so back on track, is my answer to the question.
Yeah,
The Midnight, definitely,
obviously.
and then the 1975.
Yeah.
So from my end of it, musically, anyone who was familiar with both of those, now that I've said that, I think would be like, oh yeah, it's in my mind, and it becomes something different than both of them, which is good.
Yeah.
Definitely. But in my mind, like, at least this first attempt for us was easily, on my end musically, like half and half. Like,
Yeah.
how can I
Nice.
marry these two,
Together.
only these two things? Nothing else. I'm obsessed with these two things. Can I put them together? Can they lie in the same bed and make sweet, sweet musical love? Make musical babies. But it's funny because there's a lot of, like we keep talking about, there's a lot of things that I always want to try.
Yeah.
And I tried a fair amount of things with these first 5 songs that I didn't end up wanting to do.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, you never know how it's going to end up going. But I always want to try those things. There's some things that I'm just like, this is not like, especially now that we are, debuted, as it were. Like, I'm like, that's not Dorsia kind of thing,
Yeah.
which I don't think is a bad thing. But, like, there's
Right.
days where I'll sit down and kind of, like, crank out an idea. And I'm like, this is just, like, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not for us. I don't know who it's for. Maybe it'll be for someone else someday.
Yeah.
If someone's willing to pay for it. If they heard it. But it's just going to sit around.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah. You do those things as, like, an exercise, and then you try to see if you can bring those in
Yeah.
to what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I showed her, like, a kind of disco-y demo that one night. You remember
Yeah.
that? Yeah, she was totally not into it. So,
Yeah, it was very
Damn.
like tribal.
it basically, like, I only had, like, the drum and percussion.
A lot of bongos or something.
So you could only hear, like, the
Yeah.
disco beat with the 70s.
Yeah, I'm not really into disco.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be a trend and everything, but
I feel like
even
it.
like funky stuff. I don't know. I'm not really. Into
Yeah, definitely the funky stuff is already, like, Bruno Mars.
Play that
Yeah,
fucking
carries that.
music, white boy.
That's-
The funkiest
that's one
I'll get is
example.
Prince, and that's not even that funky.
Yeah, he takes it artsy places.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God bless him.
God bless him.
He was great.
So who are your influences overall for music? Bruce
You
Springsteen.
always talk about Jewel.
Yeah.
My first love.
I had a thing for Jewel back in the day, musically.
I never
Oh,
got I never got super into
She
Jewel
had
music.
Oh
she
my
had
God.
killer
I was
songs.
obsessed.
Yeah.
I think now I probably would because I have more of an appreciation for
She was one of the first artists where I felt like, oh, music can be really serious.
yeah.
You know?
She came out when I
Political.
was like
Mhm.
super. Well, that's not even true because I was into Third Eye Blind
Me too.
and stuff. So I don't
definitely.
know.
Third Eye Blind.
I think her voice just never really did anything for me. I think that's really what it
You
came
know,
down to.
she definitely could have like a hate or love
Yeah.
voice for sure, because she can hit that yodel
Yeah.
when she wants to.
I mean, I appreciate what she does, and thinking back on like her lyrics, definitely 100% there for her lyrics. Just her voice wasn't so
Songwriting,
much. Was
Yeah, brilliant.
although
songwriting.
now
love
that
her
I
voice.
think about it, "Who Will Save Your Souls," probably I could listen to that again.
It's a powerful song.
Yeah.
Who else? Tell us.
Influence. I feel like it's such a. I could say like
Such a personal question. It's very private, Julie.
Welcome to Julie's Infinite Playlist, revealing your deepest, darkest secrets.
What we talk about when we talk about sex.
Let's talk about sex.
I mean, I think if I had to say, like, my top 5 favorite artists...
But is that the same as influence?
No. That's
Like,
why I'm struggling with influence.
Like, who were the people when you were at the earliest age where you got on the musical path? Who put you on the musical path? Artists. Right, we know Kathy Pitlosh was a big
So
part
Lisa
of it.
Loeb's "Stay" was my favorite song,
That's a
and
good
even now I listen
Lisa
to that song. I'm like,
Loeb.
that song rocks, and I love the video. It's so simple.
I don't
She's
think I've
just
seen the video.
She's just
like,
hanging
in an
out in her
apartment.
apartment, just walking from room to room.
Yeah. You don't remember that? That was like an iconic... Well, for me, it
Yeah.
felt very iconic. Because that's one of those that just stuck in my head. Like, I could immediately conjure it up. That one and, like...
She's wearing all black, and she's got like cat eye glasses.
Yeah.
and Maybe.
I don't know how I missed that one.
It's like,
I mean, I'm a little bit younger.
Blind Melon.
Yeah, Blind Melon was the same time.
Yeah. Their song that with the girl in the bee costume.
Is that No Rain?
Yeah.
I remember the song.
You don't remember that video at all? Oh my
Just
god.
taking a stab
See,
because
that's
I know
when I
that was a big
first
song.
started
then.
watching music videos.
I must
Yeah.
have just not watched music videos until
I guess.
shortly after.
Even though VH1 is a thing and totally.
Well, actually, we
okay.
didn't have like cable
Oh,
for a while.
okay.
in
I
my
apologize.
house, so, well, you don't have to
That's-
apologize, but
Got a lot to do with it too.
yeah,
huh?
that would have been the reason. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
So then from there, it was kind of like Tori Amos, Ben Folds, all these singer-songwriters.
she's
Yeah.
dark, Tori Amos.
I know.
That's
I like
where
her.
the moody in our moody pop comes from. Right there.
Yeah, I mean, I was never afraid of, like, sadness in songs.
Yeah.
I kind of embraced it. I liked it.
Yeah.
I was not ready for Tori Amos when I heard her. I still probably am
She's
not.
blindsided you.
It's really powerful.
You know who I think
Really powerful stuff.
blindsided me was I can't remember her last name. Tracy.
Chapman?
Probably.
Yes.
Fast Car?
Yeah.
Tracy Chapman.
Yeah.
I think that one
was a
just
good
came out of
song.
nowhere from like just I don't.
That was a
I've
powerful
heard it
song,
at a
too.
really random time. I think I was like, it was like a Saturday. I know this is really weird that I would remember this and this is what it would be, but I was at my mom's office and she was having to work on a Saturday and I was just hanging out and somebody just happened to be playing it on the radio and I was just like, what the fuck?
It's a powerful moment.
Yeah.
The fact that you remember it
Yeah.
that way. So we have Lisa Loeb, Jewel. We talked about Jewel.
Mm-hmm. Taking
Tori
me back.
Amos. Tori Amos. If you say her name 3 times, she.
She just appears.
That's true. She was scary.
Tori Amos, Tori Amos, Tori Amos. She just shows up with a guitar.
Yeah.
I saw her in Detroit and she was playing 2 pianos at the same time.
Oh, she would.
That's crazy.
Spider Woman.
Woohoo!
That's crazy.
Who else did you say?
Ben Folds.
Mm.
Ben Folds I listened to like into college and everything.
Was Ben Folds one of those emo people? I feel like he would be.
No.
Maybe not.
You know, like, he kind of should be,
Yeah.
but he's not.
Interesting.
Because musically it's not. Lyrically it
I
definitely is.
guess. I don't know.
Let's not talk about emo.
All right, sorry.
And you know what I still listen to? I got the CD when I was in 6th grade and I still listen to it. Bare Naked Ladies Stunt.
Classic stuff.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Speaking to you?
Yes. Okay, so 6th grade specifically too.
Powerful
So-
reaction.
Yeah. Well, no, it was 7th grade for me because I had this friend that we knew each other in elementary school, and then she moved away. And we weren't like super good friends or anything in elementary school, but like, you know, we knew each other. First day of 7th grade, I had just moved school districts, and first day, first class, I hear her name, and I was like, oh my god, I have to go talk to her. I remember her. So when Stunt came out, like we both latched onto it and just sang Bare Naked Ladies all the time. And I still know all of the words to, what is that song? Why do I not remember this song?
One Week?
Yeah, 1 Week.
Chicken to China.
Yeah. Chinese chicken. Have drums. I'm gonna stop now.
Don't do it.
Yeah. But,
I saw them.
I never saw them.
I've never seen them live.
Yeah.
But yeah, There was like this thing going around Facebook for a little while. It was like the 10 albums that like defined like your music style or like your musical tastes. And I was like, I have to put this one up there because I was so young, and their lyrics are pretty powerful too. Like especially
Right.
hearing One Week, you would not think that at all. But if you listen to Stunt, they get pretty deep into it. And there's a lot of
That's
stuff
what
that
I
didn't
loved.
even
I
understand
think
at that time.
I liked about their songwriting too. It was kind of like sexual.
Yeah.
And like, have you listened to the album or no? Like, you probably have heard other.
Watch
songs.
X-Files with no lights on.
Well, that's
With
One
John
Week.
LeMay's on.
I'm just gonna keep going back.
But like a lot of their other stuff is more melodic. And
Yeah.
it's a lot more chill. But yeah.
And it's also moody as fuck.
The one song that I liked by them even more than that, because that
The
was
Big Bang
everyone's
Theory theme
like,
song.
No, I actually hate that song.
Brian Wilson.
No,
Lying
Good
in
call.
bed. I like that one.
it's like a super chill song. God, what is it called? He's describing like he talks about like running through the hose or something.
The
You guys
hose?
know what I'm talking
Like
about?
a sprinkler?
Yeah, but it's a hose.
Right, the garden hose or whatever.
I don't know.
It's the perfect time of year.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere far away
Yeah.
from here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Considering everything's a mess.
What is that song? What's it called?
Try to see the world. Pinch me.
Pinch me.
Yeah,
Yep.
there we go.
So pinch me.
Oh, that song's so good.
There's just like a
I'm just
really
gonna have to
like there
fucking
was a
listen to Barry
vibe
Higgins.
to
It's
that
just
song.
a feel good.
Yeah.
It really just like took me kind of to like a kind of like a nice place.
Yeah.
You know? Which
It does take
nice
you. Well, and it's so
place.
funny because, 7th grade, I'm like 12
Yeah.
listening to this song. And even
Right.
then, I still have that kind of like nostalgia that song is about.
I think that's what it is. I'm a real sucker for like that kind of just
Yeah.
like, nostalgic vibe.
That whole album is nostalgic now for me. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of random.
Yeah, it was random.
Like, okay, so for me, easily John Resnick of the Goo Goo Dolls is the first that always comes to mind for me as songwriting inspiration wise. And I feel like, I mean, the Goo Goo Dolls definitely ended up going in a certain direction, and I just think it's kind of a shame that that's what people think of, because they were like a rock band
Yeah.
before,
Iris.
like starting in like the long before that, like
Yeah.
mid '80s.
They were around in the mid-80s?
No.
Damn.
Like
never really cared
'86,
for
I
them.
think, was their first album.
Except
They're
for
a
Baby's
year
Black
younger than
Balloon.
I am?
That was my
What?
favorite song for a long time.
It's crazy.
But yeah, originally they were like thrashy punk rock,
Really?
yeah, which just gradually became this other thing.
Interesting. I would never
And-
have guessed.
I was really into them for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, his songwriting, I mean, like Name, that song is like, no.
No.
I literally only know Iris because I didn't really like that song, so I never listened to anything else by them.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know your name.
Yeah.
That one.
I won't tell your name, but.
I won't know your name.
It's just one of the more
I
powerful
won't
songs I've
know
ever
your
heard.
name.
Sure.
Just sing it wrong, it's fine. You're not giving Nick an aneurysm right now.
So
Or
that like
Switchblade.
that song,
Aw,
and then Black Balloon. which you
Switchblade
said.
angry.
So him, John Resnick, and then Jimmy Eat World once again. And them
Yeah.
defined both lyrically and musically. Defined like a lot
Futures
of
is one of those albums that I just, every time I listen to it, I'm just like, this is fucking amazing.
my. What was that?
What?
Is there a noise?
I thought I heard like a pop bottle open.
Yeah, I heard like sounded like a high pitched whisper.
Oh.
Story Amos.
Tori Amos
This
is here.
apartment is
Don't say it
haunted.
again.
Whoop de doo.
So,
The cats know what's up.
yeah, they do.
Yeah, and then so Jimmy Eat World.
Yeah.
Because that was around the time I was learning to like, just play guitar and like drum kit, drum set and everything.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
always and forever.
I feel like I need to introduce you to my friend Sam. You guys would get along great just over the Bruce
I
Springsteen.
would be happy to ever finally in my life meet one other person who was really into Bruce Springsteen.
Well, you should
I've
also
never-
meet my stepdad because he fucking
Never
loves
met
Bruce.
another person.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's part of the reason that I've gotten to the point of obsession
I legitimately want to message
That I'm
Sam
at.
right now and be like, look,
because I'm
You
in
and my
such
friend
an
need to
isolated
have-
bubble
that's so weird.
that I've been left to collect books and everything, and I looked up at my
I love the fact
so
that
in my
you got that book, that Bruce Springsteen book, the
one?
autobiography or the biography that came out last
so this
year.
is the autobiography. Okay.
Okay. Kayla gave it to you, right? Or was it your mom?
It was
Or did you get it from
it was someone else through Kayla.
Okay.
Someone
So
was like, "What should I get him?"
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
So my stepdad, one of his daughters, actually got it for him, and I remember it was like Christmas, and you both got that book, and I was just like, this is
I mean,
this
Bruce
is how you
Springsteen
know.
fans rejoice.
Apparently.
An autobiography. My God.
I think I even asked Sam if he had read
My
that book,
God.
and he said yes, and I was just like, this is how you know if they're a true Springsteen. Because I asked who are your influences, and whenever I interviewed his band, and immediately, without any hesitation, Bruce Springsteen. I was like, okay.
I almost
Well,
I was like John Resnick and Jim Adkins. So I'm going in chronological order.
Yes.
If I were not going in chronological order, and again, anyone who knows me,
Would
I almost
immediately
wouldn't.
say
I do I
Springsteen.
don't even need to say it.
He
you know?
would sometimes wear a bandana on his head to work,
I
Springsteen
still
style.
do wear a band every other day.
All right,
Roll up the
you've got your
t-shirt
sleeves rolled up
sleeves.
right now.
Well, that's
not.
different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I won't really say any. There's
Switchblade
nothing more.
angry.
There's nothing I could say about Bruce Springsteen, right? That hasn't been said.
When he rolls up his
So-
sleeves, he is hardcore switchblade.
Hardcore switchblade.
I'm trying to talk about Bruce Springsteen. Good God, people.
I legitimately want to set you up on a friend date with my friend because I feel like,
It's a mandate.
yeah, you two would just bro out and it'd be great.
But then again, you never know.
Who do you listen to that you think would surprise people?
Well, there's nobody I listen to that would surprise anybody. Anybody that knows me.
There's
what
not
would-
anything
what
that
would
you
they be
listen to,
surprised
like-
by?
I think the Carly Rae Jepsen thing is quite
Yeah.
surprising.
Because
I don't know a single other person
It's 'cause
who
we
likes Carly
literally,
Rae Jepsen.
90% of our conversations are about music.
I guess.
What about the people that you don't have?
Well, I guess that answers the question.
Almost.
If Kelly
Yeah.
finds that surprising, I don't know how I haven't talked
No,
to you
you.
about her before.
No,
but-
we've talked about it, but I think I was
The first
surprised
time
when I heard that.
you talked about it.
But see, that's not fair because I think that what's behind that is just that I think a lot of people that last album of hers went unheard to a
is
great degree.
terrible.
Yeah, it is disgusting.
Everyone go
and
listen to her album.
Everybody
right
had
now.
right it was because everyone has her in a box.
Yes.
So I think that's the reason that's surprising. When people go then and listen to that, because I've had this happen. So
Yeah.
like I said Carly Rae Jepsen to somebody, and they were like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But then they went and listened to that album,
Yeah.
and then they were like, "Oh,
Because everybody
never
thinks
mind."
"Call Me Baby,"
Right.
and she is more than just that song. Even though that song is
So-
amazing, and I,
I like
still
that
love
song.
it.
So that's a great song.
Still love it.
It's a great, wonderful,
threw a
amazing
wish
song.
and I
Yeah. Everything about that song is pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
Brilliantly crafted. So I'm going to think about it because I don't think that that's a fair answer for me to
I
give.
think it is a fair answer, but if you want to think about it more, you can.
The reasons are wrong.
Okay.
Right? I'd like to come up with an answer that people would genuinely be like they're familiar with the music and they
Right.
were also surprised that I liked
Okay.
it. So I'm going to think for a second, and you go.
I think mine might be like Die Antwoord.
That is interesting.
Never
I
heard of such a thing.
You've never heard of Diane? I've never listened to them, but from what I know, that sounds really weird. I don't know. That is kind of surprising. I am always surprised when anybody says they listen to Diane Ward, honestly.
You know what people might be surprised by is my love of old school hip hop. Is the one thing I think, because people have had that reaction
Really?
when I've been hanging out with them and I've thrown thrown that on.
See,
People were like, "Oh, you're into this."
the way I look at it is like from my generation, like from people that are around my age and younger. We all grew up with hip hop being such a big thing. Like it got really popular when I was younger. And so we basically grew up with it. So I find it surprising when anybody is surprised that someone listens to hip hop. Because even though that may not be like your main thing, and maybe it's mostly, I mean, for me it's mostly old school hip hop too. I do have some things that, more modern hip hop that I listen to, but
There's some good stuff.
I don't think it's that surprising, personally, but I also don't think people realize how popular hip hop actually
I
is.
think if it were like the inverse kind of situation and you knew me from like a long time ago, I think you would actually be surprised.
Really?
In my bubble,
Okay.
like there was no presence
Okay.
of that whatsoever. It was Celine Dion kind of thing, which is better even, I'll say, but she's like the greatest singer.
Celine Dion is amazing. I just think it's funny because a lot of people kind of like when you say you like Celine Dion, they're kind of like, really?
Yeah.
It's like,
I
why
like
are you?
Celine Dion.
She's amazing. Why are
But
you?
But right, people are
Actually-
afraid to say that they like it.
There was not. It was a
Yeah.
lot of.
So are we talking
There's a lot of
NWA,
that, like,
Snoop Dogg?
yeah, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Man. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the production.
Yeah.
And and that's even, I shouldn't even say that. I love all of it.
Yeah.
The rapping was different.
Yeah.
You know, there was.
There's more realness
In
to
my
it.
opinion, it was better, but I couldn't make any kind of like empirical argument as
Yeah.
to why. So I won't really emphasize that I feel like it was better. There was like a style to the way they rapped
Yeah.
that just was like groovier.
Yeah.
was
There's a
groovy.
lot now that it's like.
Yeah, I think that's what it's just a matter of
Oh
groove.
yeah, it's all like
you
one
know?
note too.
Yeah.
It's just that's what I'll
It
say.
was
It's
almost.
the groove.
It was almost singing when they rapped, but it
Yeah.
wasn't.
It was rhythmic to the point of being like an instrument,
Yeah.
which is different. you know?
Yeah.
And not even just in hip hop, in every kind of music at this point. Like I was saying 2.5 hours ago, we need to wrap this up. There's a lot of people who just, I think they just do what,
What everybody else is
you
doing.
know, which must have always been true.
Yeah.
But I think it's just so easy to be exposed to everything.
Yeah.
Now. So, you know,
Why put yourself in a box?
all people can hear one idea, and then they can all do that.
Yeah.
And then they can all put it online.
Yeah.
So that's what's really going on. you
Yeah.
know? But, yeah, I love old school hip hop, man.
I thought of another one. Tool. I like
Oh,
Tool.
yeah. So that is, see, that surprises
Nice.
me.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think, right?
That bass.
I was always
Yeah.
more of a perfect circle guy.
I appreciate both. I probably listened to A Perfect Circle a little bit more, but I almost like, I kind of appreciate Tool a little bit more, but I think A Perfect Circle was kind of more what I was used to.
Why do you think that is? Well, I've
Because
always
I
been
love
curious.
how dark it is.
It's darker, so that's okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good answer.
thanks. Okay, that's it.
The Perfect Circle for me, I think they were a little more melodic,
Uh-huh, they were.
which is right up my alley. So,
And I liked it a lot, too.
yeah. And I like Tool a lot, but I do like a Perfect Circle a little bit more. That's always just like a conversation I like to have with people for whatever. I don't know why.
That's really funny because I don't like A Perfect Circle at all, but I do
Really?
like Tool.
See, there you go.
And everybody
You know, why
looks
is
at
the
me
question.
crazy. I don't know that
Well,
I can even
I
really
hear
explain
that
it.
more than
Really?
anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I think is part of my
Because I
curiosity.
guess I just hear people say they like A Perfect Circle a lot more.
It's more recent.
I guess. Maybe it was just that it felt overplayed to me when I was, because at that point I was listening to 101X all the time, so.
So you heard it a lot.
Yeah.
I never even heard A Perfect Circle, or really Tool, I think, until after both of them were well established
Yeah,
and overplayed, probably, to the people who were exposed
right.
to them. But that again, so that's what I'm talking about. Like I've been in a lot of just like bubbles,
Yeah.
chapter wise. So there are certain things I don't know how, that I just kind of...
If you could write with anyone alive or dead, who would you write with?
That's hard. That's a long list.
I'm going to limit you to one.
I don't know that I can...
One. Don't think about it. Just say it.
Bono.
Whoa. Oh!
Because you said one, and I thought the song One by U2.
I want to punch you in the face for that answer.
It's really only because she said one, and that's like one of their biggest songs is One.
I
I
don't
want
know
to
that.
punch you in the face for that answer.
I'll give you a different answer.
Do you not like U2?
No,
I don't like him
especially
either.
Bono. He's so...
So that show must have really hurt both of you.
I like that song. And I sounded pretty good at it, so I was okay.
Bono is not really my answer because he would not be my number one choice. Though I love U2 and I love Bono, and I'm not
I
ashamed
feel
of
like
that.
working with him would
But-
probably be a nightmare.
Maybe, but isn't that kind of like...
No, that's not what I'd want,
Isn't that the point?
personally. I
Um,
don't think...
I'll
writing with
actually
us
say
is really
Daniel Lanois
Who's that?
is anybody who knows who he is.
good. All right, is he
It's-
a producer? Is he...
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he
Or...
also recorded some of his own
Okay.
music released with him as an artist, but he produced my favorite Peter Gabriel album, my favorite U2 album, my favorite Willie Nelson album, my favorite
Dang.
Emmylou Harris album,
Wow.
which is a great range of
Yeah,
artists.
so
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
So, like, going from Wrecking Ball, Emmylou Harris, which is the most, like, American, beautiful, like, folky kind of, you can't really call it country, but
Yeah.
maybe Americana,
Yeah.
to, like, the anthemic Joshua Tree U2 thing, to Peter Gabriel, which is, like, the highest, in my opinion, like, there's never been more of, like, an artist musician than Peter Gabriel. Who would be my number two, by the way. But I'll say Daniel Lanois because he's had his hands in all of those things.
Yeah.
That's like mind-blowing, to be able to work with someone like that. Like, that's going to you're going to be your best
Yeah.
version. So...
Interesting.
yeah. But to reference someone people know about, Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
If you don't think In Your Eyes is one of the greatest songs of all time, you're a fucking crazy person, and I'll fight you. Because it's amazing.
It's just a very good song.
I think I'd have to say...
That I hate Peter Gabriel now.
I think I'd have to say Dolly Parton.
Ooh,
Nice.
Great
That
answer.
would be amazing.
It would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Like, you could just give her an idea and, like,
Mm-hmm.
it would be a
She
great
seems
time.
like a delight.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She really does.
Yeah, and she's
See, that's somebody
Amazing.
who does an amazing job and doesn't have to be an
a
asshole
douche, yeah.
at the same time.
But I
She-
would
you-
argue that most of her music doesn't... It's like an actor that doesn't necessarily take the darkest roles,
Yeah.
Jolene has
Joe.
an unspoken sadness. to it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily unspoken even, but I think there's a layer of sadness to that song that people still don't really pick up on.
Yeah. It's kind of hidden.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
and
it's in her voice.
there
Well-
have been newer renditions of that song too that I think kind of tap into that more.
Yeah.
I think the story of how that was written is she just met a girl and she thought she was really pretty and she was like, "What's your name? I'm going to write a song about you." So I think it's actually all fiction,
That's adorable.
That's great.
but it just sounds so deep because it's all like minor and
But there's
That makes me love Dolly
there's a
Parton
great
even
philosophical
more.
question. Does it matter even? Because once the song is the song, within itself,
Mm-hmm.
does it not basically become its own real story? You know what I mean?
it does. But you said the song was so much deeper or
Yeah.
something.
But I'm saying
there's a
that
sadness
there's a
to it,
layer
yeah.
of
Sadness, yeah.
like she infused it with
Oh no,
sadness
yeah,
that- so you can listen to it casually and read the words and it's sad. There's
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
sadness
it's
to
a
it.
great
But
perspective
then you
too.
listen to it really, and there's even more sadness just under the surface in the way that she sings it.
Yeah.
That's like unparalleled mastery of like artistry.
Have
Yeah.
you heard her sing it with pentatonics?
No, I really don't want to.
Oh no,
Really?
I really
I
don't
don't
want
really
to.
care for pentatonic.
I thought it was
Why?
really good. I mean, the only
I'm an
other
acapella nerd, but
one
they're
that I
like,
That really
know-
says something, I think.
they're
the
like
only-
show acapella. They're like
Yeah.
Right. See, I was gonna say that's what it is. Is they it's a perfect example, Jolene. Like if I can only imagine the song.
I bet it
I hate
sounds
to put it this way. But I can only imagine a song being robbed of its essence by that style of performance.
I don't think that happened with that song, because I do feel like they understand that that song is probably not meant to be performed more showy, but, you know.
Well, to be more
The only-
specific, the reasoning that I'm thinking has to do with the guitar. So just imagining the song without that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's also, she did it with Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that either.
I think I heard the Miley version. It
Yeah,
was good.
and-
I don't dislike Miley Cyrus.
So, that's one of the few times I've actually liked when Miley Cyrus sang, because I felt like she just
I think she's a good singer.
didn't.
I think she
well,
actually is too.
she is a good
I think
singer.
that
I
she
just
hid
feel
it.
like
She hid that she
Yeah.
was a good singer, which is
that's one
a
of the few
shame.
times that I've really heard her, I feel like, sing rather than just do the non.
she's come around now.
Yeah,
She's doing more serious things.
yeah.
Not that it even needs to be serious,
Right, but
but I think that works better for her.
yeah.
So good.
Where can we find your music? Since you have music
Ideally
out.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Spotify,
digital realm,
Apple
right?
Music.
Are iTunes and Apple
Bandcamp.
Music the same thing now?
I don't fucking know
What?
anymore.
iTunes and Apple Music.
I'm not sure.
I heard
I'm
something about them becoming the
confused.
same thing.
But
It's
it
I don't know why
$4
they
on
were different.
Bandcamp.
Music.
Just go buy it, please.
Bandcamp,
Buy on
SoundCloud.
Bandcamp, you lazy douchebags. No, you don't need to do that.
Do it.
But yeah, it's all of those. Yeah, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon.
Oh,
All of
didn't
the
know that one.
like really all of the major anything you could think of.
Is it on Tidal?
It is actually.
Nice.
Yeah. There you go.
It's my favorite one to ask about because I had a band tell me they were like, "Oh, I think we're on Tidal." I was like, "Really?" So now I ask everybody.
And we're definitively on Tidal.
That's
because someone texted me the day that it came out, and they were like, "Oh shit, you guys are on Tidal."
What?
And I was like, "I didn't know that." Great.
Crazy.
So yeah, everywhere digitally.
Nice.
And we have a website actually too.
Nice.
So it's on there, which is just
What's the website?
dorsiamusic.net.
Okay.
And our Instagram handle is Dorsia_ATX.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on Facebook.
Yeah, everything is basically like a Dorsia ATX
Combination.
something or other.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's facebook.com/DorsiaATX,
Mm-hmm.
at Dorsia_ATX for the Instagram, DorsiaATX.bandcamp.com, SoundCloud.com/DorsiaATX, blah, blah, blah.
Do you have any shows planned yet? Any more shows?
More things in the
Not
works, but
really,
nothing
but yeah.
confirmed.
yet. Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Cool.
definitely let people know when
Yeah.
that's the case.
Yeah.
We are Dorsia, and this is Without You.
I'm running from you, far as I can. 1,000 miles to a place you can't stand. Are we becoming another sad game? I want you to see me like you just learned my name.
Thank you for listening to Julie's Infinite Playlist. This podcast was created, edited, and produced by Julie Roth, with help from Nick Colbert, and special thanks to Nikki Nadeau. The theme song was created and produced by Animal Abstract. All of the songs performed belong to the musicians performing them. If you like the podcast, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe on Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Stitcher, and share it with your family and friends. Find us on Facebook and Instagram to keep updated on the podcast and when the bands featured are performing in Austin. Also, check us out on Snapchat to catch videos from shows I go to and maybe even some sneak peeks.